And everyone, now we officially turn the calendar over to 2026, but we have one final step before we do so. That is why we have compiled the lists of all lists. I am John Pollock, alongside co-host, technical director extraordinaire, Ting, and one Bray after another, Mr. Harrington is here, and of course, the hour and 40-minute man, Davie Portman.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Happy New Year. Thanks for having us in the post office.
Yeah.
It's the official post wrestling New Year's party. A couple days late, a couple weeks late, even. But here we are on Monday,
A
January
couple of
the
years
12th.
late. When did we last do this?
Probably a
altogether?
year ago when
Did we do it in person?
I don't think so.
No, we didn't do it in person last year. I can't remember the last time we've done a show in person.
This is true. I can't remember the last time I saw you in person.
I'm surprised Braden even remembered where I lived.
I didn't, but you told me yesterday your address again. But then I passed by. I'm not revealing where you live, but a store opened up called TKO right near your house. Is that done on purpose?
Yeah, that is, yes, there is a TKO in the nearby vicinity. Good brand value.
Yeah.
Good churn. But guys, welcome. It's great that we're doing this in person. Remember the one time we decided we were going to do the best of show and the worst of show as two separate shows, and we were like, yeah, well, let's record them back to back, and we did them in my basement. We got dinner in between. I don't think I've ever been as exhausted after a recording session than those where we decided to do both in the same night, and each show was probably 2+ hours.
Was that when I sprayed champagne all up your walls as well?
That was
Excuse me?
yeah,
That didn't
Pardon
happen.
me? I don't remember that.
I do remember that because that was 100% what happened on
You
that.
still got that whiskey in your basement? The bourbon? It's worth a lot more now. We can't get American bourbon.
I might be giving you guys
Yeah.
some gifts on the way out the door. But here we are to chat about the best and worst of 2025. Wei, you were the one that really speared on the decision to do this in person, even though this adds a lot more work to, like, we just sit around and chat and talk about best picture nominations, and you're furiously trying to set this up to go live. How infuriated are you with the three of us during those moments?
I mean, I'm really not. I'm very comfortable doing all this, and it's like we don't get too many reasons or opportunities to do this sort of thing in person anymore. So I more than welcomed it, and really just a chance to see you all.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I like hanging out and seeing you guys. You know, our lives may go in different directions, and people have kids and families, but
Oh, congrats.
we're still we're still a
What have you not
family.
told us, Frank?
No, post wrestling is still a family. So it always is a joy to see you guys. Absolutely.
I think next year we can all contribute something to the best and worst of show. I think Wei, of course, the technical mastermind. I will provide the setting. Davey can cook us a meal,
Yeah.
and
Braden
will come.
will
Yeah.
Braden will bring something.
I'll bring
else.
the party favors. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Is that Damien at the door?
No.
I thought I saw someone. Sorry. All right, everyone. Well, it's the best and worst of show. We have. Well, wait. We have adjusted the list somewhat. You took it to
little
the
bit.
people. A couple adjustments this year. So some of the topic changes. Instead of going with best feud, we're just going with a bit of a broader best story. So I mean,
Storyline.
storyline, worst storyline as well, instead of worst feud. We have best wrestling tie-in. This is not a bell-to-bell traditional wrestling show, but this can encompass all media, merchandise,
Yeah,
books.
believe it or not, there were several requests from people asking us to add best merch. And it's not something that's ever crossed my mind. It's something you actually suggested, Braden. And
And then I can't even think of good merch. So yeah, it is a little tough. But
we've expanded basically the non-wrestling media section to include merchandise or really anything else associated, like somewhat related to wrestling that is not actually in-ring wrestling.
right. Did they sell John Cena garden gnomes? Did they re-release those this year?
Not this year,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately,
That
no.
doesn't make the list then.
Oh, that's unfortunate. And expanding, we will do best weekly TV show, but we're also going to narrow it down to best TV episode of the year. So a specific episode of wrestling television that you enjoyed in 2025. And of course, our worst topics will be mixed in as well. We have 21 topics. And then at the end, to officially ring in the new year, a new game of likely, unlikely for 2026, where we will revisit some of our predictions from a year ago and see how they turned out. Some prophetic and some completely off the mark. So we will look forward to all of that. Difficult list to make this year, Braden, or a fairly straightforward year for you?
Certain things come to mind right away that you're like, oh, this one is locked in. And then other ones, I take a second to be like, actually, and then I kind of change my mind. And then, okay, I got to rewatch some stuff. So I don't know. This year actually was interesting. There's stuff that comes to mind that you absolutely hate. And then I try to block out stuff that I don't like. So it's harder for me to remember the stuff I hate and easier to remember the stuff I absolutely love.
Davey, yours was just like the Matrix. It all just came together and you could see the light.
Kind of. We recorded a lot yesterday. We did part 2 of our Best Match Ever 2025, as well as our regular Sunday show. And the plan was to like watch some stuff and get our list sorted after. And we did that a little bit, but everything was way later. And I kind of crashed out and woke up in the middle of the night going, I haven't done anything for this list. And then this morning on my walk, it's because we did watch a lot. I'm like, oh, it's that. It's like sleeping on it. Had a bit of an epiphany this morning with my answers.
Well, he's not being totally honest, because yesterday we were like, yeah, we'll record some shows, we'll get together. And then Davey was like, I'll cook some dinner. And then somehow we ended up at Hooters. So
Dry January is going fantastic.
Dry January is not doing that great.
As most evenings tend to end up.
Yeah, so Hooters. Shout out Hooters.
My friend landed a big parlay and was like, come along, I'm buying the drinks. I was like, all right.
So then we went back and then worked on our list. And yeah, we'll see how they look this morning.
Wait, was your list completed at Hooters?
Most of my work is done at Hooters, so yeah, this was not unusual. This one, I honestly, I found the past year to be probably the most difficult for me to like retain a lot. I mean, there's just number one, so much good stuff, but so much other things going on that I just like, I watch it, I read my notes, and I realize I really love this thing, but then it doesn't necessarily stick in my head. So I was kind of reliant on the things that did stick in my head, and it wasn't necessarily like the best in ring or best whatever, but the things that that kind of have that like X quality that might make the difference for me.
Now, in the interest of disclosure, and my answer is a definite no, but around the table, did anyone incorporate any AI in their decision making?
Absolutely not. No, this is all bad, broken English in my notes.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could feed them all my show reports from the last year and what it would spit out
you
back
could.
at me.
Yeah. I use AI for actually like a lot of like types of research. It's terrible for this. I like even just tried like, hey, like give me like a list of like the all the 5-star rated matches from the Wrestling Observer, and it just like it's completely incomplete. So we're still several years away, I think, from technology being able to help us with.
We've been doing our Champ is Here show, which we're going through every single John Cena title reign, and it includes promos and stuff like that, and it's so hard to just filter all that. So I've been using it throughout the year to kind of go, give me all the segments from these Raws with John Cena, and posting like old reports in them to look through. But then I do have to double check it all, because sometimes it's like, wait a sec, that didn't happen. Didn't happen. For this, I did use it for best episodes. I was like, just search throughout the year. I had a couple in my mind, but especially the like first part of the year was hard to like think back. And it's not as easy as just going through the pay-per-views of the year, which you can see on Cage Match. Going episode by episodes is pretty hard. So I did use it for that.
We won't be talking about best and worst of AI wrestling videos on this show. You know, people keep sending me these random fake videos.
Well, Braden, all wrestling these days is created through AI.
True.
Okay, if you're listening to reports.
How about most annoying AI generated images? Because at the top of it is, it's either aged out wrestlers that are all sitting around at a table together. It's dead wrestlers in heaven all together. It's like, this is what these people do on a daily basis. It's like, let's just create this shit that we are going to like churn out.
It's slop. Word of the year was slop.
Slop.
It's that stuff, but even like when it's used for like a really good sentimental reason, I think it's still so shitty. And that came out through the Hulk Hogan death, where like you just saw millions of just like, it's fucking Hulk Hogan hugging Randy Savage in heaven.
Yeah, I saw Hulk Hogan and MLK hugging, and I was like, I'm done. I don't need to see this anymore. I'm fucking over AI videos.
Yeah, we didn't have a worst non-ring product category, but maybe we should next year.
It's those AI, like the the videos that make people make matches and dream matches at like JFK coming out at the Stone Cold's theme song. I'm like, why are people making these things?
Well, in the spirit of that, we now are going to dive into the list because we have a lot of topics to get to. Last year's show clocked in at around like 3 hours or so, so we will see what the time is like here.
We're gonna break that record.
We're going to start off with best female wrestler, and we're going to go to last year where all of us had different winners. We had Braden with Willow Nightingale, Davey choosing Roxanne Perez, Wei Ting with Timeless Tony Storm, and I had Sari from Japan. So those were our 4 for last year. Kicking things off this year is the one and only Braden Herrington with best female wrestler.
Yeah, this year women's wrestling was awesome. Like some of it, maybe even better. The standout of wrestling this year was like the women. And I feel like in both WWE and AEW, I felt like the matches stood out, the story stood out, but there was one that stood the test of time because she is timeless, and that is timeless. Toni Storm is my best wrestler of 2025 when it comes to women because everything isn't always in black and white, but I love when she is in black and white. And it's the little things that AEW have done to really get this character over. I think maybe the year before when this first started, I wasn't fully into it. But then you had at the end of the year, the memory loss angle where she was kind of pretending she was a rookie again, to just some of the best matches that have been produced this year. So the silver screen classics keep on hitting, and she lived the gimmick. Like in real life, she's the closest to like, this might sound crazy, she's the closest to like the Undertaker, where she just keeps that gimmick so protected. She is like Cary Grant. She's like, nah, this is who I am now. And I love the fact that she lives in this world that she has created. So I love not only the character, but I love the wrestler and the wrestling that she comes out with. So shout out Toni Storm.
All right, 1 vote for timeless Toni Storm. We next go to Davie Portman with best female wrestler.
Yeah, it was a toss-up between 2 this year, and Toni was definitely one of them. But I had to go for Mercedes Moné. I think the stuff she's done, not just in AEW, but the stuff she's done all over the world on the indies, you've got to give her credit to. I think she had a rocky start in AEW, but has really found her stride now, and she's at the point where any match she has, I'm really interested in watching. I thought the match at All In with Toni was fantastic. And it was just cool because I went to All In this year in Texas, and then just a couple of weeks later, I was back in the UK seeing her in a small Rev Pro show in Wolverhampton. So just seeing the contrast of her working this huge stadium show to like a more intimate indie show was pretty cool. And I think she's like, she didn't have to do all those indies. She's Mercedes Moné. She's a big star. She absolutely didn't have to do any of them. And I think she wanted to kind of give back to wrestling, but also prove that she is what she thinks she is. And that's the best in the world.
Did you have a side category of best Japanese-trained, German-speaking female wrestler located inside of a bar after a major AEW event?
Oh, well, Tekla has to win that one.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I had a few. I had a short list, but Tekla was my vote as well. Over to Wei Ting for best female wrestler.
Yeah, this is a category when we're talking about best wrestler. I tend to maybe way more towards the in-ring, and for me, like I say this every year that I want to watch more Stardom, but it's just becoming a tougher and tougher task. You know, number one because
Davey's going to watch a lot more Stardom this year.
I say it every year. But
because of its like lack of accessibility first and foremost, okay, but also just because there's so much other stuff. But I also feel like this year is probably where Stardom would have really dominated this category when we're specifically talking about in ring. I don't watch enough of it, so I can't necessarily like in good faith say like this person from Stardom should be the best wrestler. So for me, it was down to AEW and WWE, and that would be between Mercedes Moné and Io Sky, who I think on Raw continues to deliver very consistent quality. I'm of the opinion that I think in ring Io is better than still Moné still, but I think when we look at volume and when we look at like extracurriculars outside of what she's been able to do in the ring, the variety of opponents that she's had, I have to give it to Mercedes Moné. She's had matches throughout the year in North America, US, Canada, Mexico, of course, UK, Austria, Poland,
Winnipeg.
Well, yes, still part of Canada, but barely. Denmark, Italy,
Barely.
Sorry, Winnipeg.
and I really do think it's completely unprecedented for somebody her fame, you know, not just within the WWE, but through like Star Wars and whatnot, to like love wrestling that much to you know extend herself so much. And I know that's been kind of met with controversy. I completely don't buy that
Manufactured
at all.
controversy,
I
in
mean,
my opinion.
I don't doubt that a lot of people like truly feel, oh, how could she not go back and like, you know, lose these belts? I mean, like who, ask any of these promoters, they're more than happy to, you know, have her just come in and not drop a belt and just have her name attached to their show. So I think what she's done this year has been incredible. So she's my wrestler of the year.
All right. Well, 2 for Mercedes Moné, 1 for Timeless Tony Storm. I am going the Stardom direction and choosing Saya Kamatani, who was the Tokyo Sports MVP, which is, for those unfamiliar with the Tokyo Sports Awards, these are probably the most political awards in pro wrestling. And for a woman to win it, it sounds completely dated, but it's a real big deal for her to win MVP in Japan. I think that this year she held the World of Stardom title the entire year, and the 3-match series with Tam Nakano beginning at last year's Dream Queendom and then continuing through the career match they did in March at Korakuen Hall that set up the even bigger career versus career match at the end of April were 2 of the big highlights of the year. Stardom had it was the best drawing Joshi promotion in 30 years, and it's really off the back of Saya Kamatani this year. So not only did she have like great wrestling matches, she was a legitimate draw in her company and was recognized at the highest level. She had a match on terrestrial television that hasn't happened for women's wrestling in that country in 23 years as well. So you can really look at her as a difference maker over the past year. But I agree with all of you. There were some really great candidates this year across all the promotions where we've talked on a weekly basis about like Asuka and Io Sky and Kairi Sane, like throughout the summer, they were in arguably the A storyline on Raw doing talking segments, and no one batted an eye. It wasn't some hiccup. There wasn't a language barrier. They were put in positions where it wasn't just getting over in the ring. It's like these were fully fleshed out characters that I think really peaked during those summer months, and they all stood out. And Io had a terrific year. I just found it just kind of throughout the fall, I felt she kind of took more of a backseat in the Rhea tag team that didn't get me across the finish line. And Kamatani, it was just such a strong campaign. So that's where I went there.
Like Io Sky definitely had a big year. I think some of the Io Rhea Ripley stuff like transcended like into pop culture on social media. I was seeing it in non-wrestling. Like people were just posting clips of Io and Rhea and like wrestling and stuff. And I think it kind of...
Oh, the AI farms, I'm sure.
No.
Had a field day.
yeah. No. I'm just mean like, I feel like that people were like, oh, who are these women? Like, why are these? What are these? What's going on here?
They took a major step up when it comes to non-native English speakers on WWE TV this year, and that's through the character work of Io, but namely Asuka and Kairi, who I think they really figured out how to like get their personalities across without necessarily having a manager attached to them. You know.
Next one is Best Male Wrestler, and this will be interesting. The last 2 years, it's been a clean sweep of Will Ospreay. All of us voting for him the last 2 years. So we will see if that changes up this year. We'll start with Wei for Best Male Wrestler.
Yeah, for this category, I think I think of this category as more the in-ring, and it was a real toss-up between I think a Bandito and a Konosuke Takeshita, but then there are just so many others, specifically in AEW, that I think you can put on that list as well. For me, in terms of consistency, in terms of volume, in terms of singles output, I think Konosuke Takeshita is unmatched, being the best performer in 2 of the highest caliber promotions at the very same time, star of the G1 and one of the stars of the C2 this year, had 92 matches across AEW, New Japan, and DDT, and 6 matches rated 5 stars and above by the Wrestling Observer. So
7 hours of ring time, as we learned.
7 hours of ring time, New Japan, mainly achieved through the summer. Yeah, so I think it's completely amazing, and in terms of consistency, I think he's just unmatched right now.
Let's go to Davey with Best Male Wrestler.
I went for someone who, at the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have thought I'd gone for at all, and I thought might even be on some of my worst of lists.
Oh, Ricochet won.
Hey, I think I came round on him last year.
Yeah.
But man, John Moxley, what a year he's had, and like once that Coke feud was out the way, I think he really hit his stride. I think they understood what the Death Riders were. But if looking just at in-ring performances, man, like all in Texas, the Texas Death Match was incredible against Hangman. And then you go into all these TV matches he's had since then, like the like mini Kyle O'Reilly feud, the match with Mascara Dorada during the C2. He's just consistently, there were matches with Daniel Garcia and just consistently putting on great matches on TV and somehow keeping his character so interesting after he lost the title. And it's the most interested I've been in him for a while. And then you get to the end of the year and he's got the Kyle Fletcher match. I just think his output has been incredible. And I was very torn a few weeks ago with who. Like, Takeshita was definitely on the list. I think obviously Will, if he wasn't injured, like he had a great start to the year. But by the end of the year, it was easy for me, John Moxley.
I could still see Ospreay getting votes from people, even with the reduced, the kind of last couple of months of the year being absent. It was still such a spectacular year that he had. Moxley is a great call. Like, he was certainly on my short list. I look at this category. I do weigh for both female and male. I do put like box office as part of this equation in my thinking. If it's just pure like the performer I think I enjoyed watching the most this year, just from an in-ring standpoint, was Kyle Fletcher. But incorporating all of those facets, I went with Mystico in Mexico because CMLL had just an unbelievable year and he was at the top of it. Like, when you're talking about filling Arena Mexico on a weekly basis that they almost were doing, they drew over 1.1 million people just to Arena Mexico. That's just like the mainly the Friday night shows. And he also got, I think, a lot more attention because of the affiliation with AEW, the appearance at Grand Slam Mexico. And this is someone who, like, his biggest drawing years were like 21 years ago. And here he's come back and it's just lit Mexico on fire. And when the announcement was made about AAA being bought by WWE, the thought was like how harmful this could be to CMLL. It's showing no ill effects thus far. Like, you have, AAA, I think, is way more in mind with people now, and CMLL is red hot at this year, and Mystico is a huge part of it. Had that match with MJF at the anniversary card that a lot of people checked out. So a lot of different ways you can go with this one, but I thought this was like the year I will think of, like, with CMLL and Mystico. So over to Braden to wrap up Best Male Wrestler.
It's just funny because I hated Sin Cara. I was so wrong. I'm so sorry, Sin Cara. We were wrong, and your theme song is awesome. But this one was tough. I thought Jon Moxley had a really good year too, especially the second half. But someone comes to mind right away, and I'm agreeing with Mr. Wade Ting because Konosuke Takeshita, the Alpha. I think of personally, anytime a match is announced, when it's Takeshita, I have to tune in. I have to watch. And this year, not only actually making me watch some of the G1 again, but then some of the New Japan matches, winning the IWGP title, even though it was the butterfly one. I thought that was awesome. I love the stuff he does in AEW. And I think one of my favorite stories this year is Okada big leaguing him. And it sincerely makes me want to see this guy kick his ass in 2026. So it might not be the most, like you said, box office and maybe most interested story, but when it comes to in-ring, Takeshita, the Alpha, he's a hooper. He's a baller. He's one of the best in-ring wrestlers, and I love watching him. So
I think this category is interesting because we kind of have our own definitions of like what it means to be best wrestler, right? And I don't think there's a right answer for that, because I mean,
it's whatever.
We all watch for different reasons.
Art is
right?
subjective, and that's what wrestling is, even though we call it sports entertainment. But like, this guy's track record this year was crazy with New Japan, AEW, the matches with Ospreay on TV, plus Bandito. Like, the list goes on. And I just think every time I watch him, I'm like, this guy is incredible. And I feel like the Japanese crowd doesn't necessarily love him as much as maybe I love him. But yeah, I can't wait to see what he does next year.
I didn't obviously go to as many shows as you guys did, but definitely the best match I saw live this year was Okada, Takeshita, and Mascara Dorada at All Out. I mean, that was just
absolutely
an unreal match to see live. Like, Takeshita's a great call.
That's such a match you could show non-wrestling fans, because it's like you got these two Japanese dudes who hate each other, or they're supposed to be friends, and then the luchador who's in there using them as the base and jumping around and flying around. So the rewatch value on that triple threat is awesome. But yeah, I really love this guy, and I can't wait to see how far he can go. And I know the triple contract, shout out DDT, and New Japan, keeping him around while he's doing AEW. Like, no one else is doing triple. Can you imagine flying back and forth like he's doing for some of these things? It's got to be insane.
Braden's going to get a Wrestle Universe subscription now for Tokyo Joshi Pro.
No,
Takeshita and Yuka Sakazaki teaming.
No, I've been using yours. It's fine.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how I got my early access DDT tickets through your subscription. So thank you, John.
I can't imagine even coming here was an ordeal, so I can't imagine flying back and forth.
Yeah, imagine trying to fly 15 hours for a match only to get back on a plane to go do it again.
Davey would just walk. Best tag team. Last year, it was me, Davey, and Braden going with Fraxium. I'm going to imagine we're not getting repeats. And Way choosing the outgoing Sting with Darby Allin. So this year, to kick off best tag team, we'll start with Davey on this one.
I think this was the hardest one on the list because I think tag team wrestling was pretty poor in 2025. I think across both promotions.
Let me add this. Like, I'm going to not spoil mine, but I think trios can be included in this as well. And
factions, stables, does that count?
Because we don't really have a category for
If
trios.
they tag
But anyway,
often or not.
yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I found this one tough. I think we just did our best match of the year show, and we didn't have really any tag team matches on that, which normally you've got like the FTR matches and stuff like that. So I found this hard, and I think two tag teams that stood out this year didn't really have a particularly long run, and that was Brodido and AJ and Dragon Lee, who I think were both quite exciting teams. So I think across the year, I'm gonna go back to an old faithful, and that's the Young Bucks. I think they reinvented themselves so well this year, managed to keep that kind of broke gimmick going really well, and it was maybe the most interesting their characters had been. They had the incredible tag match at All In with Swerve and Ospreay. And just like whenever they're in ring, like that's never been a doubt how good they are. Like, yes, there's been character work that maybe doesn't always gel with fans, but I think in ring, they always deliver. And I think they had a good character year as well. So across the board, I have to pick the Young Bucks.
I don't want to be the hipster here, but I am going back to Mexico here. I'm picking the El Sky team of Mascara Dorada, Mystico, and Neon for a lot of the reasons I gave for Mystico. I mean, they to me were the trios unit that were the biggest attractions in CMLL. You could really mix and match any of these three, but when they were together, it would generally generate a sellout at Arena Mexico, which again, we're talking about a 16,000 seat building that they're running every single week. And I don't know if any other company could achieve that this year. So, yeah, I mean, Neon is just spectacular. This was obviously a really big year for Dorada, and like Mystico was my wrestler of the year. So that was my choice for best tag team. Braden.
Yeah, this was a hard one. Tag team wrestling kind of took a back seat, even though we still had hot teams. I felt like there wasn't specifically any matches. And then I think of if I had to pick a tag team match, it probably was All In with the Young Bucks versus Swerve and Ospreay. So I too am picking the Young Bucks, or more specifically the Broke Bucks, because they not only had a gimmick that was so silly, but was so fun to like poke fun and laugh at, that I thought they did a really good job, because these guys are just so fun to hate. Like, I love to hate on the Young Bucks. I know they just turned babyface by the end of the year, but I think they're way more entertaining as heels because they're just so much fun. But if you look at their 2025, they had so many tag team matches on TV or multi-man matches that they stole the show. And I think we went to a Dynamite in Cleveland. There was Brodido Young Bucks. That was an awesome main event. I think of like the All-In tag match. I think of that multi-ladder match in Toronto at All Out. Like, when it comes to tag team wrestling, it was kind of bare bones, and they were the top of the best stuff that did come out. So I'm going to go with the Bucks, banking on them. But yeah, they were really fun this year.
Wade, are you staying in AEW for best tag team?
I am. And I'll just maybe take this opportunity to say, like, I kind of think this category, like, at least by my definition, when it comes to best wrestler, best tag team, it's really tough for me to pick a WWE choice more often than not because AEW just really like gives the platform for people to have like great matches a lot more often than like let's say a wrestler as great as Io Sky. She doesn't get the week to week, like her week to week appearances are often talking at this point and not so much just like the 15-minute match that an AEW talent gets to get. So I think it to me it's a category that like favors an AEW wrestler.
But
And
that's
so
also a choice, like WWE in presenting its talent. Like you
Yep.
can also look at like where would an Ilya Dragunov be this year if not for being showcased with this US Open challenge? Like he would have just been your Nathan Fraser in the back having painful dialogue.
that's very true. Yeah, I think that US Open challenge is maybe an exception to that rule. But for me, as a tag team, it was a toss up between Brodito and FTR. I want to shout out the Jet Speed as well, who I think had a tremendous year in ring.
They could have come into AEW and just been like lacked an identity and become, other members of the Don Callis family or something. Like they were really on top of those guys establishing themselves. And I would say, you couldn't have, like, I thought they over delivered in terms of how they introduced them and made them feel like players.
When we're talking about like maybe guys who on their own might kind of drown in the waters of like the heavyweight division or just like the singles divisions in AEW, I think they've found a great way to push guys as part of tag teams, and Jet Speed is one of them. But my choice for tag team of the year is Brodito, who certainly benefited from that. You had like I wanted to also recognize Bandito on this list because he just had an incredible year, and a lot of people will probably talk about his Ring of Honor matches, but for me, it's the tag run with Brody King that really broke him through to a wider audience. As well, number one, just to showcase finding a role on Dynamite that is consistent, and also getting to show his personality through the tag team, and even just through the contrast of like being paired with a bigger guy. It's made Brodito into a far bigger star. So both of them have really benefited from just being like mid-card guys to now. Well, like when they took the belts off the Hurt Syndicate, I was personally surprised. I thought they were just a bit of a makeshift team that weren't really supposed to be there, but they ran with them and to me achieved best tag team status of the year.
Actually, it was another team that ran with the Hurt Syndicate to the back while the title change occurred.
That is what happened. Yeah,
I feel like it was like a perfect. They didn't expect that to get us over, like the team of Brodito, and then it did, and they're like, "Hey, this is actually pretty cool." So then they just ride with it, and then now we're like, "Wait, don't break up ever. Just stay together, even though if you do singles stuff." So love that team.
All right, the next category is most improved for the year. Last year, me and Wei chose Kyle Fletcher. Braden, you chose Swerve, and Davey went with Jay Uso. So I'm seeing a lot of people this year picking Kyle Fletcher as most improved. To me, it was like the gains were 2024, and that was his breakout year. So I really don't think you can repeat in terms of most improved. To me, Kyle Fletcher's at a high. I would say he's even at a higher level now, but he's not going to be my pick for most improved. I had a short list here that included Ryohei Oiwa, Dirty Dom, but I went with Mike Santana in TNA because, quite frankly, it's kind of my only representation of TNA on my whole list. And I would say he not only really leveled up with like his promos, like a year ago, this was still like the Joe Hendry company. Like he was the clear number one guy. And all of a sudden you realize, no, Mike Santana has usurped this guy and became the person that they built the whole company around this year, chasing for the title, drew numbers both at Slammiversary, at Bound for Glory. And they clearly have seen like him chasing for the belt is something that they're going with again. Like that's literally the focus of this week's launch on AMC. Excellent promo. And honestly, he had some really strong matches this year as well. So Mike Santana, I would say, made the biggest gains of like the different companies I watched this year. Let's go to Wei for most improved.
Yeah, just in maybe the talking point of the calendar year being a thing. And I almost forgot about this person because I think like his transformation took place so early in the year, and that was Ricochet, who he had already kind of slightly turned heel, like literally the week before.
It was the Hammerstein shows that started the whole turn.
But I don't necessarily think it was enough for us to maybe recognize him at that point. over the course of the year, I think he really has shown just an incredible. Like at one point, I'm sure you picked him, or one of us, several of us would have picked him for worst on the mic, even, or at least like biggest setback or something like that. Namely because
He will come up in last year's picks for Davey, and
Yeah.
not
Wow.
just worst
Absolutely.
on the mic.
Yes.
okay, well, I mean, yeah, like the initial start to his AEW run wasn't really all that spectacular. But like he's managed to transform himself in an incredible way to the point now where I look forward to his mic work more than I do his in-ring work. And I think for so many talents, especially like people coming into AEW, where everybody's a good wrestler, being a character, being somebody interesting and compelling on the microphone is going to be your difference maker. On top of having to be a great wrestler, which I think he already is.
That's fair. Like, think like he's already one of the best standout wrestlers in ring, but everyone always said his weakness is his promo,
And it all works together. Being
Yeah.
great on the mic makes your matches more compelling.
and ever since like this year, he really has. Like, it sounds weird to say most improved because I think people will be like, "What? He's been wrestling insane and awesome," but it's really like he found his character and his voice almost now. He looks and sounds comfortable in front of a microphone where before it was a little hairy in WWE. But I didn't even think of it in that way. But that is a awesome pick.
Who's your pick, Braden?
I'm going with Harley Cameron from AEW. Now, at the beginning of the year, I feel like, yeah, she's been on TV and all that, but this year, every time she's on TV, she's showcasing another talent. I mean, she is a singer, a rapper, I guess you could say, a ventriloquist? Is that the right word for when you put puppets and stuff? And then also wrestling, and she's become a champion. And I just think anytime she's ever been on screen, she makes the most of it. And she is so funny. And I think that people can learn a lot from her of like, just do it. Just like try things. Just like go out there and do your best. And I feel like she is someone who I find so funny, but in this year specifically, she's really shined through in all these little pieces of being side promo work or a partner where she's now a champion by the end of this year. And I just think she's really stepped up in everything. And I feel like she's just unstoppable, and anything that she wants to do, she'll probably do it. And yeah, she's hilarious. She's just funny. I think at All In, we were watching Kenny Okada, and I think during Okada's entrance, I was like, "Yes, Okada," and I just hear someone laughing, and she was behind us. And I looked behind me, and I came face to face with Harley Cameron, and my eye froze. I completely shut down. And she's like, "It's okay." And then we continued watching the show. So bless Harley Cameron. She looked at me like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. Yeah."
Davey, who is your most improved for 2025?
Yeah, I went with the exact same.
Oh,
I went with
nice.
Harley Cameron. I think she had that Grand Slam match in Australia with Mercedes, and I think it was earned. It wasn't just, oh, let's just put the Aussie in Australia. Like, I think her ascension has been great to watch. And I remember the first time I saw her was that, what was it, QTV? And she was doing that rap, and I remember it was almost go away heat. Everyone was like, who is this woman? Why is she here? Does she wrestle? What is it about her? And I think she's just got this natural likability that is so hard to teach. And I think there's a lot of conversations about the AEW women's division and more representation and things like that. However, when it started, you had a lot of male stars, like already made stars available to go to AEW. And of course, you're going to feature them. You're going to feature your stars on TV. You want people to watch. The women didn't necessarily have that cachet when AEW started. We didn't know who any of these women were, right? Apart from maybe Britt Baker had the biggest name to her, I guess, at the time. So it's taken time and it's taken years to really develop these characters and make your Willows and your Statlanders and your Jamie Hayters, Tony Storms and Harleys really mean something. And I think this 2025 was a great year for the women's wrestling in AEW. And if they continue with that, I think you are going to see more showcase on the shows. You are going to see more representation. And I think Harley's right in that mix. And as you said, Braden, ending the year as a champion as well.
First ever tag champ. So I think they chose that to give.
It's like hard work paying off,
exactly.
like giving her flowers.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. I think she's had a really good year.
Who did we say last year, by the way?
Last year's most improved, you had Jay Uso, Braden had
that's
Swerve, and me and Way had Kyle Fletcher. So, no, Jay Uso, we'll see if he comes up later. Biggest setback. Last year, our picks for biggest setback, Way and I chose Adam Cole. Davey picking Ricky Starks, who was still in AEW at the time, and Braden had chosen Jack Perry, who had one match in 2000 and he wrestled at Wrestle Dynasty last year, and that was about it until his return recently. Things were not looking so glowingly for Jungle Jack, but this year we have a biggest setback. I will kick things off with this one. You certainly could go with Adam Cole for a second year in a row for a whole separate incident, but I am going to go with Kota Ibushi, who broke his femur against Josh Alexander. And, the prediction of him being like 2 years away from returning, watching this guy, and I know this technically happened in 2026, watching him walk down the ramp at Wrestle Kingdom it was so sad and tragic to watch how messed up this guy is. And the idea, that was the first time I looked at it and I was like, I'm actually like, it will be a miracle if this guy returns in any kind of form. Like, will he wrestle again? Probably, but man, it's going to be such a rough road for this guy to come back. Like, and you compound it with all the other injuries that this guy, like, it just, the check came due for this guy physically. Like, you were just shaking your head at what this guy could do year after year after year. And then it was like, the shoulder injury at the G1, and after that match with Marufuji that he had no business being in and going 30 minutes, and now this, it just feels like this guy, it's just one horrific injury after another, and it's I don't expect him to be in any kind of discussion in 2026 at all, wrestling wise.
This one hurts a lot more because I think we saw that Marufuji match. We saw, I mean, if you watch some of his other output, like even at like GCW that WrestleMania year, but he had worked through all that to come back to AEW, and I thought looked pretty good, like at least for like my standard of Kota Ibushi, and I consider that injury more of a freak accident, like, falling off of the turnbuckle like that. But I mean, it'll happen just with enough ring time for somebody. And it's just sad because I think he'd worked so hard to like get back into shape only to suffer probably the biggest injury of his career.
It's really sad. And watching, like, and again, you said that's technically 2026, but seeing that was like, oh my God, I remember these people do this entertainment and hurt themselves for our joy and everything. And it was like, man, I wanted to see you back so badly. I think he was keyed up for All Out in Toronto as well. Like, I think they were hyping up.
Oh, him and Omega, like that was going to be the team.
The Golden Lovers.
Like, everything had been set.
It was so heartbreaking on many points. So
is this your pick, Way and Braden?
No, not
okay. Let's go to Way next for biggest setback.
Biggest setback for me. There are a lot of people that you could put on this list. I mean, I'm assuming there are a lot of people, but like just even sticking in Japan, I think. I mean, Tetsuya Naito had been broken down for quite some time, but just to kind of see the state that he ends 2026 in, 2025 in, was not great. Shota Umino falling from like the top of the card at Wrestle Kingdom all the way to being on a pre-show and more of a heel because of go away heat than anything is really interesting. But I have to give it to the New Day, who that Big E turn was. Like, what was that? Was that last year?
That was 2024.
And it just ended with such a high and such a renewed like interest for the group that they just ended up doing nothing with. And I think a big part of that is because, like, I mean, for the better part of the year, the tag teams in WWE or Raw specifically, just they just weren't being written for in compelling fashion. But just the amount of like things that they were doing week to week, between the funeral bullshit thing that just really didn't amount to anything, to just now, like, what are they really doing?
They literally have promos where they have no message to get across. It's just fill time with them. Like, it just feels like they are operating without any direction, anything. They're not building to matches. They're just there in the commercials with Byron Saxton to just do heel shtick. Like, it's just directionless.
And I mean, they're still somewhat entertaining doing that, but I mean, at this level, they need to be a lot more than just like, I don't know, kind of goofy. In fact, I think Grayson Waller often is more the star of that group now at this point. And it shows, I think, just a real lack of evolution from what was a great spark with their heel character.
They are, to me, a perfect example of like, you do want options for these guys, because this would be in another era where you leave the territory and go somewhere new. But anyway, biggest setback, Davey.
Yeah, I'm between two on this one. I ended up going with Wardlow, who I think over the course of the last few years
Yeah,
forgot about him.
has, you know, had the like really felt like a hot act a couple of years ago, building to that MJF feud, and then you had that whole thing with, you know, MJF going AWOL and then coming back and no selling the injuries from Wardlow, and then Wardlow really struggled from then, and then had injuries, finally came back and joined, I assume, the Don Callis family.
Probably,
I can't
yeah, probably. Yeah.
and then immediately injured and taken out. So it's, yeah, and I feel each time this happens, unfortunately, his stock just goes lower and lower. And he was someone at one point in AEW you kind of eyed being like, oh, is this going to be one of our breakout, like, homegrown stars in the company? And unfortunately, it's not like that. And yeah, just can't stay healthy.
So future NXT champ Wardlow.
Yeah.
He's the gladiator, though, isn't he? When is that coming out? That Miz.
Oh, yeah.
Gladiator.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I assume sometime this year. I don't know. Braden?
Yeah, this one, a few came to mind, like just ticket prices, I guess, for certain things is a big setback. I guess it's not, because they're seeming to do well
Yeah.
for maybe the fans.
live event access.
Another
even Rikishi can't score tickets now.
I don't know if like this is just coming to mind, but it's like a big setback was The Rock being like, "Hey, New Orleans, you're getting WrestleMania." Psych, nah, you're not.
Biggest setback in New
The
Orleans.
entire state of Louisiana had a setback.
But I do think the one that I am going with, it does involve The Rock, and it involves John Cena. It involves John Cena turning heel in an amazing moment with zero follow-up and no interaction, no referencing to The Rock being involved whatsoever. I know we had weird Rock promos on Raw and even NXT this year that made absolutely no sense. And
20 steps ahead, okay? We're only at 16.
we're in the 6th inning, I think. I'm not sure. But yeah, I feel like they didn't know what they were doing, and The Rock kind of did damage control on like what Pat McAfee's show. And I guess technically my answer is Cena. I don't even know, but John Cena and The Rock, like
The creative.
yeah,
around
whatever
time.
that
Yeah.
was or wasn't was awful. So
How am I going to write this down?
Yeah.
okay,
Can you put this into some concise?
John Cena's heel turn and lack thereof. The Rock.
I'm putting down John Cena so we can talk a year now about how Cena had a setback this year.
I just feel like, okay, this obviously generated so much money and so many people buying shirts and socks and all that stuff, but the creative was awful. And I won't have anyone tell me like, oh, this last time is now is such a good year of, no, it actually wasn't. I actually really thought if this is the GOAT and this is how you treated a goodbye, then like, what are we even doing? So I just felt like them trying to pussyfoot around, we don't know what we're doing, but we're going and doing it anyways, was a real big setback of me as a fan being like, wow, John Cena turned heel. We got to tune in to see what happens. And nothing happened.
I always say this is make believe. You can write whatever, and as wrestling fans, we tend to just accept it and be like, just give us a reason.
Yeah.
And like the just not even mentioning The Rock. You know, as soon as elimination happened, it's as if he didn't exist. And you go, just write something. He's gone to Hollywood. Let us know. He won't be at Mania, but he's pulling the strings. Like,
I prefer passive aggressive sit down interviews with Pollock.
Yeah.
I think that's the best.
I mean, I guess you could consider Travis Scott in this too as a big setback. I mean, they put all this stuff.
Are you getting all this? Can you write all this thing?
I've got an essay from Braden who
Just
like
like
this is like 8 awards in the one for Braden.
just all bad stuff that didn't really like, they just pretend it didn't happen. Like the Travis Scott thing, I'm sure one day we'll figure out exactly what happened, but it's just,
I do want to throw in 2 honorable mentions of like injuries to just were like injuries are bad, but sometimes you just don't project like they'll be as devastating. But first of all, Buddy Matthews injuring himself at Grand Slam Australia, missed the whole rest of the year. That was February. And Bianca Belair with like the most devastating finger injury in the history of pro wrestling. She has been out since Mania. Did the guest ref spot at SummerSlam. There is no way, like we knew about the injury right after Mania. Nobody could have assumed that was the end of her year.
Yeah.
So those 2 just injuries that were just, you know, sometimes like just rehab does not take. And like those 2, the 2025 was a write-off for both of them. And I think it really hurt in terms of like Bianca being off of WWE for the entire year and probably a lot of changes that that domino effect had.
If we have to talk about injuries, I think we also have to mention Adam Cole,
Yeah.
who probably had the most
he was
heartbreaking one.
he was number 2 for me in terms of like
Yeah.
we very well may have seen his last match this year.
Can I throw out before we move on Andrade as well? Ignoring 2026, in 2025, the guy, you know, barely on TV in WWE, gets divorced, gets fired, gets a new job, can't work that job for a year, apparently.
Kept
Like,
himself in the news cycle though
Yeah,
somehow
dude,
through
This
all
guy
that.
never left.
Yeah.
He won a
Yeah.
title in Puerto Rico. Joined the Don Callis family twice.
Wow.
Okay, I'm counting him as 2 members.
what was last year's picks?
For biggest setback,
Adam Cole.
we had Adam Cole for me and Way, Ricky Starks for Davey,
right.
and Jack Perry for Braden.
Sorry, I'll
so
try and
at
get
least
the
for Davey and Braden, I mean, rebound years for Starks, and to a degree Perry. At least, I mean, he's on television, so that's what I constitute as a rebound. Next, we go to best character. Last year, I chose Gunther. The 3 of you chose the final boss, Dwayne Johnson. I don't think we're going to be repeating the. Although I could have gone with Gunther. He was on my short list. But I'm echoing some of Davey's earlier sentiments. I went with John Moxley. To me, like, people were very low on the Death Riders this time last year. And it ended up, first of all, for all the complaints about Moxley during the first half of the year, it's like their pay-per-view numbers stayed remarkably consistent, and I think he does deserve credit for that. And then when the Owen Hart tournament began, and suddenly people saw the end of this Death Riders thing, and who's it going to be, Ospreay or Hangman? It was like AEW now has a clear identity and a direction for its big show. The title change, I don't think could have come off any better. And you thought afterwards, okay, what do you do with Moxley now? It turned out to be maybe the best 6 months I've enjoyed of John Moxley. That Kyle O'Reilly feud, I fucking loved. I'm gonna tap out to all these submissions.
Sorry guys, I just hit the back button. Can you just like literally? Sorry about that. Can you just repeat your last sentence, just your last thought?
Okay, so you peaked at All In Texas with John Moxley losing the title to Hangman Page, and then afterwards you had Moxley take this bold approach that he's going to lose all these matches by submission, and it ended up endearing him that much more and made him like he was. Kyle Fletcher was my performer of the Continental Classic, but Moxley had the best story of the Continental Classic, and that really peaked with him winning the tournament. And I find John Moxley as compelling a figure throughout the year that AEW had, and it was quite the turnaround because I don't think people were as high on Moxley a year ago when you were in the midst of all the Death Riders and at its House of Torture most annoying. So John Moxley was my pick for best character. Let's go to Davey as well.
I went for Timeless Tony Storm. I think, as Braden mentioned, she is kind of like The Undertaker, how she protects her gimmick. And I think last year especially, her promos, she was able to cut like quite deep promos whilst not sacrificing the character at all. There was one in particular I remember where she's on the balcony. It was one of the theater kind of tapings. I think it was a Collision, and she ends up going like outside and all that, and was just an incredible promo. And I think the stuff with the famous promo with Mariah May and the sit down where she's saying about you'll leave and fade into mediocrity or whatever it was, which has kind of come true, as I see people saying Blake Monroe is a setback in the chat. But yeah, I think when this gimmick started, it really felt like she was playing this character. And now I think she just completely owns it and embodies Timeless Tony Storm.
Best character.
I certainly echo a lot of what you said about Tony Storm as just a pure wrestling character. I think she's just incredible, and she's operating in a company that is just not necessarily known as much for, I guess, its gimmicks as they are for their in ring. But she arguably has the best gimmick, and because she does such a great job of living it, and every promo she does is so unique and entertaining and so creative. But she's not my pick. I also went with John Moxley because of the incredible last half of this year where he was able to just take us on from this ride from being, the Thanos of AEW And somehow through the course of that Kyle O'Reilly feud, all through the Continental Classic, being able to just so oh man, masterfully I guess baby facing himself, you know. Like I think like a lot of people, we just assumed, okay, all in would end, Page would win, and then the Death Riders would just disband, they'd kick him out. That's just, you know, kind of like logical. But they've dragged this thing out for so long and have somehow made it even more compelling that I mean, I think it's just down to like John Moxley being an incredible storyteller. And they're still dangling that, you know, that breakup at some point, and making us, I think, want it more and loving John Moxley more somehow coming out of it. So yeah.
Braden, was there enough time in the year for Yuto Ice to get your pick?
Yes, I also picked John Moxley. I feel like the beginning of the year, I hated him so much, and I wasn't sure if it was because of the Cope feud or whatever happened with the Revolution main event, or was he just doing effective heel work so much that you said House of Torture? Like that's how I felt about the Death Riders. And then by the end of the year, I can't wait to see him get his. I can't wait to see him lose at All In Texas. And then you said like almost post All In Texas was my favorite run, maybe in John Moxley's career of this character, and had no idea that he would be tapping out to all these other wrestlers. You mentioned Kyle O'Reilly feud. That was awesome. But Wei, you said you just assumed they're going to put the bag over his head the day after All In. And then no, it's like every week now I'm like, oh, what's going to happen with this story? Oh, which makes me realize I love this story and I can't wait to see where it continues to go. So yeah, the more I think of like what they did with, I think starting with the build to All In and definitely post All In, which I did not see myself being so invested into this character. I can't say I love a lot of what the other Death Riders have been doing in 2025, but they make good set pieces and background pieces for this main character. You said Thanos, like this big bad bald dude with an earring who I just want to see him get his ass kicked. But now by the end of the year, I'm like, I'm kind of in your corner now. So I also picked John Moxley.
I want to go to forum.postwrestling.com where a lot of people have left their picks, and for best character, people a lot of choices for Tony Storm. One pick at least for Yuto Ice, and then we have a lot more Tony Storm. Some votes for Hangman, and yeah, there we go.
I'd say someone like an Ethan Page as well deserves a shout out as
Yep.
well. Who
character
just
change.
yeah,
This
his
who
character's
Jake
been
from the Windy
great
City.
last year.
Jake from the Windy City says Ethan Page and Chelsea Green as the pro Canadian pair.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, on the other side of the coin is worst character. So last year, what a collection we have here. Braden chose Wendy Chu. Davey went with Carlito. When we're talking about step pieces, that was pretty much
Wow.
Carlito's role. Wei had the Young Bucks as EVPs, and I chose Christopher Daniels. So those are our worst characters for the year. Let us start with Braden for worst character.
Worst character, one came out right away and it snuck in at the very end of the year. You may listen to Up Next every Tuesday on Post Wrestling as Davey and I talk about NXT. And NXT, I feel like, isn't right to pick in worst of categories because it's kind of like Degrassi High. It's developmental. It doesn't count. However, if you put it on TV, it fucking counts. And there's a few characters that I cannot stand. For a short period of time, I got to shout out Joe Hendry Thea Hale. Don't know what the hell that was. Really hated it. I cannot stand whatever that was. I don't know what Jasper Troy's character is. I just know he walks around with
His
chains.
character is Undertaker and Booker T like him.
Right.
That's it.
And he's the old man Marley from Christmas Carol or something. But my worst character slid in at the very end of the year. I got a shout out. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but worst character goes to 4chan Bray Wyatt, Shiloh Hill. I'm sorry, John. I know you love him so much, but whatever I saw from this guy in those sit down promos were terrible. You're telling me this is a dark web guy with missing teeth who played football? I don't give a fuck about this character. And then he had a Christmas Chaos match, which was possibly one of the worst matches I watched on television this year. So I'm sorry. I know he's super new, but starting off with a character that is basically a dark web, like I said, he's on Reddit and he thinks he's in a cult. I don't know what the fuck it is, but enough for Undertaker to tweet out toothless aggression. I hated it.
His gimmick is kind of also that Undertaker really likes.
Yeah.
His tooth falls onto Ariana Grace. Like that's his gimmick now, is the tooth falls out in inopportune times. It's
What even, like, he's on the web and he orders bloody like murder stuff. I don't know.
I
It's
was
so
really
bad.
like for all the wrong reasons, really enjoying those segments.
I think we're on the same page
Yeah.
in a way.
like, this guy's character evolution is he will deny the election result in 2028. I mean, I think that's where things are going.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue with worst character, and we'll go to Davey next.
Look, I don't want to kick a man when he's down.
Oh, geez. So this guy's injured.
Alex Abrahantes.
Oh,
Like, I've got to. I can't have a worst of show without just
Wait.
exercising.
You're
this
really
demon.
going
let him cook.
And this is
Wait,
the-
let him cook.
This is the last chance I have.
my.
But what the fuck is Alex Abrahantes?
What did he even do?
What does he do? Why is he wearing gloves and a leather jacket? And he's like, luchadors are cool. Lucha's fun. Like, Lucha's had a real rise. Both CMLL and AAA have really had a rise in 2025. And yet you stick this motherfucker with any luchador in AEW. I almost find it offensive. It's like, oh, you're Mexican? Let Alex come out with you. And it's like, you have, like, think back with the Lucha Brothers. They're doing all their cool poses. They look sick. Penna's got his makeup. They've got fire. And then you've got this loser doing the Zero Miedo, like, trying to get in the shot. Like, what are you adding? And I'm terrified that WWE's been holding off putting the Lucha Brothers back together until this guy's a free agent to,
Penta
like,
says.
put the team back together. But man, he, like, every time he comes on the screen, I'm just yelling, why?
Like,
why? Like, what's his purpose?
especially this year when I saw him come out with Bandito one time, I was like, how can you take away aura from this man?
Yeah.
It's this guy. Like, no disrespect to the man. I'm sure he's a nice guy. But
I
like,
think there's a bit
Like,
of disrespect.
I'm sorry. I know he lost his job recently. I'm sure he's a lovely chap, but
Just doesn't- I
he
don't make
does
sense.
not belong on wrestling TV at all. And I'm surprised he was there as long as he was in that role. I'm sure there's maybe backstage stuff he does, but he was not needed. He didn't even do translations. So why is he there?
Okay, he's dead, baby.
Yeah,
He's dead.
He did kind of do translations, but
Wait,
I
like,
mean,
What?
when
We
he's
did
coming
not
out to
need
the
them.
ring with Commander? Like, what Commander
Yeah.
promo
he
has
literally
been
took,
translated?
like, luchadors are the sickest, coolest looking dudes, and somehow they managed to make them less cool with this guy. It's like, what?
I'm not going to repeat all the points because we kind of went over them all already, but New Day were the worst characters to me. I just think you took something that, listen, you can certainly, I think everyone was ready for a change in their characters. And again, people were very high on it, but man, did they have no follow-up this year. And it was just, I see no direction that these two have. And I'm pretty high on Grayson Waller. I think he's a great personality, and he's been sucked into all of this right now. I think that guy would be a lot more effective in the Austin Theory role, and you would flip these around. But he's attached to this going nowhere direction with New Day. So those are that was my pick, plural, for worst characters. Way.
yeah, my pick for worst character this year, I think we have to be, I have to specify that I'm keeping it to the calendar year of 2025, because in 2026 he could very, very well be my best character. But if we're strictly talking about his output in 2025, it's got to be toxic masculinity, Kit Wilson.
Oh, what a turnaround he's had in the first week.
Honestly, seriously, they must have just been waiting for the new year to turn around. But if we're strictly talking about 2025, the way that they introduced this character was just through, I mean, a series of god awful backstage vignettes with Nick Aldis of a man just kind of shouting. I mean, you give this company a little bit of credit to, like, be a little bit more on the ball these days, and he just kind of came out with what really felt like just an incredibly dated and overly simplistic parody of, like, I'm guessing, like, a very liberal man, and
The signal chats among TKO executives probably.
sure.
These
It felt like Vince's bag.
It's completely
these soy boys.
completely did, yeah. But you give him a great song, and you give him a really chantable, like, catchphrase, and that could really be all the difference. Somehow he managed. Anyway, I'm saving this for next year. But if we're strictly talking about 2020,
This might be the
Kit
worst to best character
Yes.
for Way in 2026. All right, the next category is best on the mic. Last year, a clean sweep for Drew McIntyre. So for this year, we'll go right back to Wei for best on the mic.
Okay, best on the microphone. This is the only person who is kind of repeating as a winner in my awards this year, and that's John Moxley, who I think in managing to play the lead villain of the entire company, started off like I don't think the problem was ever his promos. It was more so like the booking of the matches. I think as a presence in ring, on the microphone, he's always just got incredible aura. Like Mamie spoke. Okay, the Death Rider sort of like whole philosophy and their MO probably could have used a little bit more tightening up, but I thought like the delivery of his promos was always still really, really great. And it continued to be really, really great throughout really the entire course of the year, where he's probably had like weekly appearances. Every one of them felt like they were like, a scene out of a movie. And you could probably tell he's coming up with all this stuff on the spot. And over the course of the year, turning into a babyface role and still somehow managing that tone to feel consistent while being very likable, I thought was, he to me was my favorite promo.
What does this guy's like YouTube and Netflix algorithm reflect? Like, what is he watching?
A lot of movies. Heated Rivalry, maybe.
Perhaps. So next we'll go to Davey for best on the mic.
I think there's a lot of good promos these days. I always like authenticity and when it feels real. And to me, Hangman Page is someone that always connects to me. And I don't think it was any more evident than cutting the promo in Mexico in Spanish and managed to still like, I'm doing my best with Duolingo, but but like managed to like captivate me even though I wasn't necessarily understanding everything he's saying. And I think especially last year where you saw his character shift, he was cutting great promos which were completely believable both as a heel and a babyface. So Hangman for me.
I'm also going with Hangman Page. I thought his promos were outstanding all year long it was really the central story of the year was his chase towards the title. I thought the promo at Grand Slam Mexico was maybe the best promo of the year for all those reasons, that it extended far beyond just pro wrestling and someone that didn't have to go out there and just scream at the top of his lungs that he has an issue with what's going on, but it was all in the delivery. You understood exactly what this guy was standing up for with this particular promo as well. And it was just, he's not always like the flashiest talker, but most effective. I would say he just routinely hits it out of the park with like the message to set up a match. And you're right, whether it's as a heel, a babyface, I just always have thought his promos have just gotten right to the point and they're always engaging as well. Braden.
Yeah, I mean that Hangman promo was awesome. If you pinpoint like actual promos, that one comes to mind. Also the World's End promo from John Moxley when he won and then he just decided he's babyface now and just let it rip. I was feeling hyped. I was like, yeah, I love this guy now. Yeah, babyface. But I'm going best on the mic, Toni Storm. Not only for when she's on TV in characters, but whenever I check out or when we attend the media pressers, she just has me laughing my ass off. Davey, you mentioned the Mariah May when she's like, I sentence you to a lifetime of mediocrity, and this whole promo with the Hollywood ending. That feud was great, but it's all the little funny things that she says, like, and I quote, I once had a 3-month affair with Stan Hansen, and on our last night together, he gave me some advice. Then he gave me a lariat, but not with his arm. And I just think when she says these little one-liners, I'm like, you are hilarious. And again, she really lives the gimmick. So there is a lot of good talking, and I think AEW definitely stepped up with a lot of people on the microphone. But when I think of just like, she just has me howling, and some of the stuff she says, I question that they even allow her to say sometimes.
Yeah, and I've got to recap them every week.
Yeah, they're great. So
And you got to talk to her.
I did, yeah, and that's again where I was so impressed with her staying in character, and like even before the interview, like she was a bit more herself,
Yeah.
but still maintained a little bit of her character. And I kind of only saw like the real person poke through when I mentioned things like
right.
the ballroom in Camden and stuff like that, where she's like, oh
And
yeah, okay,
Yeah, one of the best things I've heard was someone else was interviewing her. And again, she's trying to stay in character, and people keep trying to break her. And someone said, what do you like to do in your spare time? And without missing a beat, she went, drugs. And I knew then and there, I'm like, I love this woman so much.
It's amazing because like you would have not ever guessed.
Never
No.
in a
See
million
her
years.
prior incarnation.
Yeah,
You know?
I love the fact that even the all-in poster, she was in black and white on the. I'm like, every little detail here of this character is working so well.
But her like rookie run last year, I know we're talking best
So
in
funny.
mind, but it was so entertaining and might have been forgotten because it was towards the beginning of the year, but that was great.
Any of the stuff, like she always jokes about Juice Robinson. She always jokes about her and Mina and Tony and yeah, just she's so funny. So and then like yeah, the Mariah May, it got serious with the Hollywood ending and like I'm gonna end your career and all that. I think she really stood out.
The next category is worst on the mic. Last year, I chose Shota Umino, who came in to make the big challenge to Zach for Wrestle Kingdom and was met with crickets. Wei chose Nia Jax. Davey, you went with Mercedes Monet. And Braden, the last 2 years running, this has been the Ava Award for you. And
Well, you could start with me if you'd like, John.
well, you know what? You and I both might be co-signing on this
Oh.
because I have joined the Ava train. For
Oh,
worst
please go
on-
off, King.
on the
Please.
mic.
Yeah,
I
tell me
mean,
more.
As close as I am to Aleister Black, there's a certain charm to Aleister Black. The same charm that I cannot extend to Ava, who is the most vocal tool on NXT. Her function is to communicate, and to me, it has never been a role that has suited her well. She always seems she comes off so flustered in every single segment, and I have given her the benefit of the doubt because in past years, she was relatively new. That, like, let's remember, she was part of Joe Gacy's
Shout out the Schism.
Schism.
the
Oh my
schism.
God, you're right.
Oh my
The tree.
God.
Wow.
Like, someone that was like, here's Dwayne Johnson's daughter. What's a worst way we can introduce her? Let's take away her name. Let's put her in the schism. And now she's in this role, where she's pretty much like done as a wrestler, we can all assume.
Yeah.
I went with Ava. Like, she was given, I gave her a lot of, I'm easier on some of the newer talents, but I wouldn't call her a new talent anymore at this point. So Ava's my pick. I assume yours.
Absolutely. Like again,
This might be the first ever three-peat in the history of our awards.
look, bless her. Like
If it's 4, we rename the award.
I just feel like like this she every time she talks on NXT, this is scripted stuff, and whenever she talks, it feels like she's straight up reading. And I just, again, bless her heart, I just feel like after a few years now, you would expect maybe just something a bit better. I don't like in wrestling the like general manager role anyways, and that's maybe why I gravitate to AEW. I don't like all that like stupid TV.
It's strict
Yeah.
exposition.
Yeah,
There's
I don't
no
like
more
that.
evidence of that than NXT.
And NXT, I just feel like her character is always, she can't get it under control. That's what they tell me as her character. And that's what I feel. She's there because she's the Rock's daughter, unfortunately. I do feel that when I watch her. I genuinely like nails on a chalkboard for me. One of my least favorite, like I do not like any of the segments that she has been on TV. And again, that's not knocking, it's what she's given to read and say on TV, but she is not doing a good job. And I just don't understand why it's taken. You said 3 years. I thought she was only been GM for like a year, but yeah, I completely forgot that this has been a while now. And I have seen not any improvement. And I know like she's been kind of vocal on social media being like, maybe people are not the nicest and saying mean things about her and stuff. But instead of maybe going after those people and saying things like that, it's just
Okay.
get better. I don't know. Like,
So in like realistically talking about her trajectory, she's not leaving anytime soon. Okay.
Yes.
She's gonna have this role for a long time.
Sure.
In fact, I can also see
She could be GM on the main show.
exactly. Now, let's assume that's a possibility. Can she get over in like a Vicky Guerrero type of way in this role? Like I don't think the Performance Center is exactly like the most accurate crowd to like,
Right.
turn on her. But when she's traveling out in front of more hostile, crowds, can you still use her?
They barely trust her in front of the crowd.
yeah, she's never in.
She's very rarely in the ring. It's all backstage stuff.
I just feel like, okay, it's not like she has been here for a while and she can't, there is still time. She could get better. Like she could take acting classes. She could, I don't know what it is that like something needs to change there, but I don't mean to I'm not trying to be, there's no malice coming out of here. I'm just strictly saying like every time she's in a segment backstage, I really don't like it. I don't think I'm alone on that. I feel like there's a lot of other people out there, NXT people who watch it, are like, oof, what is
Wei is right. Like, I would be stunned if she is not on the main roster. Like, she will be main roster bound at some point. And quite frankly, like, they have, like, the GM is not a favored trope of many, but But they have found a nice balance, I think, with Aldis and Pierce, where they have a function, but it is not the focus of the show. They are kind of just conduits to the different talents and setting up whatever needs to be. They're not necessarily heels or baby faces. They're just strict authority figures that you don't write the show around. But easily could I see Ava being put into one of those roles? 100%.
I hope she can get, like, I want to watch NXT and be, oh, okay, I like what I see. Like, I don't watch to be like hateful. It's just, I really think she's one of the worst on the mic.
She's in her Rocky Maivia phase, okay?
I guess. I hope so. Yeah, man.
That only lasted a year, right? Like,
Wow.
The young rock, the pebble. I get better.
Way worst on the mic.
Worst on the mic for me is the entirety of the SmackDown tag team division.
That's a cop out.
No, it's not. No. Well, I could be if he could pick The Rock, Travis Scott,
John
and
Cena, ticket sales.
I can pick. Okay, if you want names, DIY, Fraxium, the Street Profits. You can throw in.
I'm not familiar with these Street Profits.
They were a tag team at one point. And maybe throwing the Wyatts in there as well. Maybe a little bit of Pretty Deadly at the beginning of the year. But like,
Who are the best background lurkers of the year in WWE programming?
trust me, like this is more of a sort of condemnation of SmackDown and the writing for those backstage segments as a whole this year, because Charlotte and Alexa were right at it was for me those two choices. All of these backstage segments have just been, I think, completely awful. I mean, in ring, of course, they're all these teams are great. But backstage, they're really just kind of reduced to being like, high school, people who bicker. And I don't know what it is, but like often when you have so many voices yelling at each other at the same time, it just kind of reduces everybody to feeling like children. And they often write them like they're children just talking about each other or yelling at each other before Nick Aldis has to step in and put some order into it. Every segment, I think, has been pretty awful this year. I cannot point to one good talking segment for the tag teams.
Davey.
there's some great shouts in the chat for The Rock, mainly based on
Yeah.
the rambling Netflix promo,
Absolutely.
the rambling NXT promo, and that didn't come to mind.
I thought the NXT promo was the worst promo of The Rock's career, and I would include his early days where I'd even give him some leeway. That NXT promo, he went out with nothing to say other than the guy was terminally online the past 12 hours after Netflix to cry about it, and basically had nothing to say. He just dropping F-bombs. It was like, this is not just bad and directionless. It's also just so lazy, and
I thought it was arrogant. Like,
Arrogant.
I don't need to, I'm The Rock. I don't need to prepare anything. I just go on this show and talk, and I'm The Rock. And
He
people
went like
love it.
20, 30
Bad.
minutes, and he kept saying, repeating, saying like, I swear I'm not trying to take up time, and I'll get to what I have to talk about. He didn't have anything to
say
talk
anything.
about.
But mine, I feel my list is very unbalanced this year, so I got to give WWE some love or some hate. And I'm going to NXT, and I'm torn between the charisma vacuum that is Cutler James from Dark State, who was given these like, gay innuendo punchlines,
Right.
but delivered so poorly, or OTM. And I think I'm going to go with OTM because I legit just don't understand what they're saying. They talk like they've got marbles in their mouth, and every promo, the only things I tend to understand is they're saying it's going to be on site. And I feel every promo, it's like, keep your head on a swivel, it's on site. And I like, fuck off. I don't know what you're saying. Get some fucking elocution lessons or something.
Wow.
all right, well, there you go. That is worst on the mic for 2025. We go over now to best storyline of the year. Last year it was just categorized as best feud, and me, Davey, and Wade chose CM Punk against Drew McIntyre. Braden, you went with The Rock versus Cody Rhodes. So we will see. What is the 2025 winners? Starting off with Davey.
I went with Hangman's Redemption. I think it was the best told story. I think there's a reason why people call Hangman Page the main character of AEW, mainly because I think you can look at his story right from, before the company even started. I think this character journey he's been on is all very logical. We understand why he turned bad. Like he had his life ruined by Swerve. He lost the title. He disappears. He comes back and Swerve is the champion. There was that great kind of them starting to get together. I loved that scene backstage where they're like yelling at each other, and it's like, you burnt down my house, you deserved it, I know. Like, it was awesome. And I think anyone who says AEW can't and don't tell stories don't understand nuance. They need to be hit over the head with what the story is. And I think his story is very clear if you watch the program weekly. And it got to the point where I think when the Owen Hart Cup was first announced and Ospreay said, I'm going to win the cup and go to All in Texas, I think everyone's thought was that is the main event. It's going to be Moxley, Ospreay at All In. And then the Hangman story was like gradually bubbling underneath. And by the time you got to that Double or Nothing match, you're like, no, Hangman makes sense. He needs to have that redemption, which goes all the way back from losing the title to Punk at Double or Nothing a couple of years before. He needs that redemption because he needs to save AEW. And really, he is the main character and he is the only one who can save AEW. I thought it was such a well-told story.
I went with Tam Nakano's retirement that they told over several months, culminating in the All-Star Grand Queendom match with Saya Kamatani at the end of April. That to me was, man, up until like a week ago, probably the best retirement match I have seen. I think the rewind show that Wei and I did of the best retirement matches was probably one of my favorites we did this year, and it was getting to really dissect this match in particular. That was just, it was so incredible. The entrances by both, the black and white dichotomy that the two presented in these matches, and then the closing scene of the two, and it just fades to black at the end, was just, to me, it was like, this is the height of what a retirement match could be. And then we get Tanahashi and Okada. That is very much its equal. So I just thought overall the handling of Tam Nakano's retirement was just outstanding this year. Best storyline.
I wrote down here Hangman versus John Moxley in the lead up to all in, but it very much is exactly what Davey said. It's Paige's redemption story from the beginning of the year all the way to the end. I don't know how much. I think you have to give them a lot of credit that like a lot of it was probably planned out, but I can't imagine they would have planned every single one of those steps, from just like how well the Swerve Page matches were received to just the house burning being as risky for that product, but yet like well remembered at this point. I feel like I could confidently say, and how they were able to somehow change that into somehow just like making Page feel like really that he's the Tony Stark of like, this particular end game. You needed the John Moxley to be a Thanos, but you needed your other guy on the other end to feel like, every bit is equal, if not somebody, more obviously more beloved than the audience. And I don't know if they had always planned for Page to be that person, but they couldn't have found a better person by the end. And I just love the sort of like competition between he and Ospreay for that role, because both of them you could have bought in that space. But some, like in the course of just the early part of this year, it became really obvious that Page was going to be that guy, and that just came through, I think, the great storytelling, but also his own performances and just really everything in the package. So yeah, one for me.
I go to the same story. Like that whole story arc was awesome. I think all the lead up into the Owen Hart, you looked like Ospreay kind of was the more over wrestler. Like he's got the chants, the hot music, like people seem to be a bit more into him, but deep down we're like, no, the main character needs to finish his story. And I think from Hangman, okay, they maybe dropped the ball a little bit with the run by the end of it, but the whole lead up to this Red Dead Redemption of Hangman was awesome. And kind of like, we went to Texas, and in the build of this, we were like, we have to go to this show. This is awesome. We need to go. And it was the deciding factor of like, just alone to be there for that story was like why we decided to do and make that trip. But the whole anxious millennial cowboy character, it was runner for my character too, because in today's age, there's a lot of fake cowboys like Morgan Wallen and all that, and people forget what a real fucking cowboy means, hardships and determination, working hard, morals. And there's a lot of country music had a big resurgence this year, but it's not for the right reasons. And I feel like that was like this liberal cowboy coming in wearing pink in the Owen Hart Foundation,
driving an EV truck.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, like I just feel like sometimes wrestling fans or people watching like the macho-ness and everything, and Hangman's always delivered on like what is right and wrong. And I felt like the story arc of this was was just really good. And then you mentioned like the promo after a Grand Slam, and it just like really solidified of like, wow, this character arc and story was just so good. I really loved it.
Son of a tobacco farmer who, as
Yeah.
a young man, grew up with immigrant workers and gave him values and respect for his
That's what I
fellow
mean.
man.
Yeah.
Like,
fuck these
that
fake
being
cowboys.
said, as he's coming out for the main event of All In, it's just,
Yeah.
awesome.
Like, I think there was a real, like, by the end of that, people were they didn't even care about anything. We just needed to see him beat Moxley, and I thought they really hit it home.
I think it's also worth pointing out that, like, in this climate, it's really easy to just bite your tongue about, you know, political issues that you disagree with, because when you speak up against it, you're just asking for just a tsunami of hate coming your way. And when those ICE ads aired on AEW programming, he like that's not just taking a stance with the government, that's like with your network as well, that he opted to, at least, and Brody King as well. Like, these are, you know, these are times where it's like, it's a lot easier to just ignore and be quiet, and it's a lot tougher to actually speak up and bring up these issues in a public forum that is only going to bring you it's going to give you a swarm of negativity, even against those that are happy that you're doing so. So it's worth noting that too. Worst storyline of the year. Last year, you two, Davey and Braden, had Adam Cole versus MJF. Way, you chose the Elite versus AEW, and I had a slight modification, the Elite versus Tony Khan. That was highlights of 2024. I will start this one. My worst storyline of the year is, you know what? Davey, you start this one. I'm lost.
I have a lot, and I'd like, if they're not covered, to go back to them after everyone said their thing. But I'm going to go for Seth Rollins' injury. Mainly because,
By the
John,
way, this is exactly why we expanded it from worst feud to worst or best storyline, because it doesn't have to just be about in service of a match or an entirety of two people fighting.
And obviously, I know John is going to have some gripes with this one as well. But for me, it was and we're going to see it with season 2 of Unreal, just the glee they seem to have, like the patting themselves on the back. Oh, we did it. The ruse of the century. But what did you actually achieve? Like, from a story point of view, from a character point of view, CM Punk's finished the match. He's holding the title. We're in a stadium. Like, you know, the entrance is half a football field away. Seth Rollins comes out after the match, drops the crutches, starts dancing his way to the ring, and Punk has to stand there for 5 minutes being shocked. Like, what advantage did Seth Rollins get from faking an injury? If he came out on the crutches, came into the ring, and was like, I may be beaten up now, but as soon as I am healthy, I'm going to come after that title, and then kicks him in the balls, whacks him with the crutch, cashes in, pins him 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's a ruse. But what, you fooled us by being injured for 4 weeks, and then you weren't injured, and then you walk to the ring to have a match, and you do your full entrance? It's like, Punk should have just gone, all right, mate, see you later, and gone out the ring and left. It didn't make sense, but I think what annoyed me the most with it is like, we got ya, we're great, what a moment we created. No, it was terrible. It was just bad storytelling.
Well, I mean, that to me is like, that is going to trump like storyline inconsistencies are not going to be at the top of the list versus like your holy shit moments that they want for social engagement, for like, that is all they want, is just to shock people. And if it's not a shocking moment, we're going to tell you it's a shocking moment anyway. And that's going to become like, when you see Unreal, and we haven't seen the episode yet, obviously, like, that's going to be just how they are going to brand it. Nobody saw this coming. I mean, yeah, if you were not paying attention to anything for a month, you wouldn't have known it was happening. But that was, you know, that is what they are doing. It's these shows that, how can we get something that will be, in our world, a viral moment? And that trumps everything for these types of shows. And it was Rollins on the first night and Brock the second night, and that was a strict reason for it. Like, let's do something shocking. Is that your pick?
That's my pick. I would like, if anything's not mentioned, I want to exercise some demons at the end. But
I'm in the similar vein. Like, I think surprises are great when they are organic and you can pull them off. But when they are the strict function, like it is just to confuse you or to do something just for the sake of it, that drives me nuts. And this wasn't my pick, but my honorable mention is Mike Santana losing the title to Frankie Kazarian, and then TNA going to Fightful and trying to work a story that he was not going to show up at the pay-per-view or the TNA Plus special on the Friday night. Like, to go to that level, and then he just, like, that was stupid, because it's like promising our biggest character is going to no-show our event that you have to pay to see is next level idiocy. To me, that was like, TNA may have like evolved and changed, and it's much more widely approved of by fans. But man, is that TNA DNA still in there somewhere when I saw that. So that one was particularly irksome.
TNA gonna TNA, yeah.
Nothing's gonna be worse to me though than the John Cena heel turn this year, and it's kind of I regret the fact that in the lead up to this, we did have someone on our forum who threw out this idea of Cena turning heel. And Wayne and I were very negative on this, of like, why would you turn him now? And then I saw the turn at Elimination Chamber, and it was done incredible. And I came back from my vacation, and when my first thing was saying, I got it wrong, because this turn was excellent, and there's all these ideas they can do. I so regret that apology, and I officially revoke my apology, because I was goddamn right, okay? And it was a stupid idea, and it would have been so much more effective if it was CM Punk joining The Rock, getting his Mania main event, going to Saudi Arabia, because I came back to make money, not friends. And I think that would have been a stronger... the Cena heel turn, they could have done something with it. They had the pieces in place after Toronto, but my God, was it just... it was the biggest character you could turn, and they whiffed on it. And then Cena pretty much stating as much. They had no idea. They just wanted to create a fucking moment. That's literally what he said. They wanted a moment, and then you guys figure it out. Well, you figure it out with half the puzzle pieces and this rapper that's just going to take off and suddenly is the key to this entire storyline for the whole year.
Moments mean nothing without story. Like, otherwise every film would just skip to Act 3. Like, because we'll give you the finale. Why bother watching all the films leading up to Endgame when you could just watch the final battle?
There's no Oscar
makes
for
no sense.
best scene.
No.
Right? Yeah. Like, you have to judge something in totality. And for whatever reason, maybe it's because wrestling is written week to week. There's just so much emphasis on just like...
But the New Day turn, it was amazing. Like, I thought it was great. Like, if you were going to turn them, that's the way to do it. But turn is only as good as what it sets up. It's a change in the tempo of the story, but you ultimately have to have the stake that accompanies that sizzle. So to me, like, the Cena heel turn is, Cena's going to be the person you remember of this year from a content standpoint. And listen, they stuck the landing in a big way. The babyface run was great at the end, but this heel run was just, I thought it was horrific.
I completely agree. Like, we were there at Chamber in Toronto. One of the best moments of the year. One of the best moments in WWE.
Of your life.
But like, just that happening. We knew it was happening. The crowd knew. It was like, whoa, this is crazy. What could happen? You had people buzzing of like, whoa, we got to tune in next week and this tomorrow or Raw or whatever. And then he cuts a promo like the week after, and then it was like, oh, okay. And then it didn't land at all, and it just
in a toxic relationship.
Yeah, it didn't hit at all.
And then Kit Wilson, a light went over his head. Wait a minute, that's great. That's a great line.
It just felt like they wanted that big moment. And okay, yeah, it was great. The moment was awesome. One of my favorite moments in wrestling this year, maybe ever attending. Like, actually being there and him turning was like, whoa. But then there's just zero follow-up. Like, the creative just completely dropped the ball. And then on top of that, the babyface turn on SmackDown was awful. I cannot understand anyone who's watched this show for years, or maybe just getting into wrestling, and just let that slide of like, wait, we're doing that now? We're just breaking fourth walls because you guys suck at writing? I just could not. I thought it wasn't real. When you told me you got to watch this segment from SmackDown, I was like, I cannot believe I couldn't even.
You're
fathom.
waiting for the swerve.
Yeah,
right?
I was
You
waiting
think
for him to-
He's duping him.
It's like
and-
no chance that this is actually something that they would put on TV. And
This
they did.
company that was publicly advocating that we should be considered for the Emmys because of our storytelling, well, then that is the standard you want to be held to.
Get a Razzie.
This was like, yes, you got to the end point you should have in the laziest way possible. It was literally you're a babyface
I
today.
couldn't believe it. Like John Cena is supposed to be the GOAT. They keep telling us, and they fumbled it so bad that like he's cutting promos that he should have cut maybe like 10, 15 years ago, and they don't make sense now. And then on top of that, The Rock and Travis Scott were the pose, like the epic photo of them at Chamber. It's like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? And then The Rock doesn't show up, and there's no reference to it whatsoever. It was just so baffling, and I cannot, like, people trying to defend it to me in friends conversations like, but it was good, the heel run. No, it was so bad.
As the Stone Cold Diplomat put it, it was okay. It was okay.
Exactly. It was brutal. The moment really hit, but then there was like almost a year left of this guy's career that I felt they really dropped the ball. And again, they're telling you this is the GOAT, and they didn't treat him like he was.
Way.
I guess mine is somewhat related to it, and it's one particular feud or story or whatever you want to call it, and that's John Cena getting CM Punk to go to Saudi Arabia to get his title shot. I just think it's incredibly distasteful.
It
Number
didn't
one,
bring tears to your eyes.
Greatest
yeah,
wrestling moment of, the year. Of life.
of his
ever.
life. It's his favorite wrestling moment ever. Yeah,
You
but
got to be trolling with that one, right?
But just the idea that like they would use this. I mean, I'm more offended because of how much I think damage it does to the CM Punk character that we all sort of like still think about and know and love. And you know, basically saying to Punk, you have to go against your morals in order to earn this title shot. And Punk not really putting up any sort of struggle or fight. He's just like, okay, I'll do it. And you know, everything that took place in that press conference, like, it's not even necessarily so much a part of the storyline, but like what was just the fact that it was Punk not really having any sort of answer to even this question. And I just think the overall damage it does to how I view the Punk, you know.
He shouldn't even be allowed to use the name Punk, really, when he does stuff like that.
No,
right?
I mean,
That's the
it's-
furthest from a punk.
Yeah, like I think it's all great stuff for like maybe an eventual corporate version of CM Punk, which you can argue he already kind of is now, but like being a straight up heel.
He's the edgy comedian that went to Saudi with an approved list of jokes that would not be able to be said in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Like that's the comparison.
Yeah, so I mean, it was just a massive turnoff for me, and yeah, I think did a whole lot of harm for my perception of Punk this year.
The next topic is best.
Can I just
Oh,
say some
yeah.
honorable mentions
yeah.
to that?
Yes, yes.
You got
In the same Cenaverse thing, R-Truth, you know,
yeah.
being fired, coming back, cutting his hair, he's Ron Killing.
Ron Cena.
He's R-Truth. But let's not let AEW get away with some bad creative this year as
Okay.
well. MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, because I thought that was moving along quite nicely, seemed quite fresh and exciting, and then that was just dropped cold. They're like, oh, actually, Max, we don't like you. End of story.
Yeah.
Also with MJF versus Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett!
In Jeff Jarrett's final year as
never
an
got
active
it.
wrestler that just, they had like one real bad promo off together, and then we never saw Jeff Jarrett again. It was bizarre.
I'm waiting for that match. He said, yo, if you win the belt, like, I'll give you a shot. I'm waiting for that. MJF is champ now.
Yeah,
so-
the Jarrett final year deal kind of like just poof, went into nothingness. I will say I do feel there has been something to the fact that AEW, like a year ago, we were talking about, you know, Adam Copeland is clearly engaged, but it's like main characters on the show are Adam Copeland, Christian Cage, not to the same degree, but like Jarrett was all over your television. And it's something you can say that like AEW, like the median age certainly got younger for a lot of the performers, where it's not necessarily, you know, outside of Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, like this is a company that it feels more youthful as well. And maybe that's a little ageist, but that was a big complaint that people had of like all these spots. And if you're going to sign an Adam Copeland, yes, he commands a big story and a lot of television time. and Jericho as well, like was gone most of the year, and I think that did open up a lot of spots that you could, foster for your Kyle Fletchers and your Jet Speeds and others that it feels as well like you're building for your future as well.
Like there was a lot of bad storylines and angles in WWE that I hated and I tried to block out and stuff. But when it comes to AEW, the Jeff Jarrett MJF, but also I just have to throw it out because we might not mention it. But the Death Riders kidnapping the Rock and Roll Express. I love when old dudes get kidnapped in wrestling.
Why do they keep going to watch Dynamite? They've been kidnapped
should
like
not
3
go.
times. They've been pile driver.
Robert
safe.
Gibson can't
Watch
give up
it
a
at
comp
home.
ticket, okay?
Oh my God.
They're gonna get
Like,
Rikishi this year.
these guys should know better not to go to AEW. Like every time they went, they got beat up or kidnapped. So I just thought that was something that, I don't know, was pretty funny to me. But
Okay, best wrestling tie-in is what was previously our best non-wrestling media. Last year, the three of you went with the Mr. McMahon doc series on Netflix, and I went with the Queen of Villains, also on Netflix. For this year's one, why don't you start us off with best wrestling tie-in? This can be media, merchandise, books, TV, whatnot.
Yeah, this is a bit harder actually for me because I don't know how much I would have consumed that necessarily fit the category. I went with Brandon Thurston's article, I Hate Politics, and that's why I'm going to love WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia. I also want to shout out his other article, From Defiance to Dignity, CM Punk's Redemptive Turn Towards Nihilism. I think both were incredible pieces of writing that maybe I'm biased that we were, very proud to host on the site. I just think like he not only is, a great sort of like, writer with that sort of sarcastic tone, but I think often through sarcasm and comedy you can really make the strongest points, and as a way to feed like I think what might ultimately be kind of like dense research material in an entertaining way to an audience, he managed to really do it. So
Yeah, listen, I am 100% biased on the Thurston front, but like getting to watch like him and how he operates, like I don't think there's anyone operating at that level in this space that Brandon does, and using that satire and seeing the reaction that those articles got was also like illuminating for me, just to see like who understood what he was saying and who didn't as well. A few honorable mentions for me. I have just in terms of like content that comes out on a daily basis. I do want to shout out like wrestling playlists that is put out by the infamous Charles. If you don't get wrestling playlists, it's a godsend of just curating all of this old content, contextualizing it. And this historian Tony Richards as well, who puts out the Daily Chronicle. But my pick was 2-1, the Briscoe story that the Players Tribune and AEW put out. This was right after the anniversary of Jay Briscoe's passing, and it was one of the first times we got to see Jay Briscoe's children on camera, how they have handled not just the loss of their father, but these horrific injuries that they sustained in the car wreck as well. And I mean, I don't think you could watch this without feeling just emotional, and how this family has rebounded from what could just be so devastating for a family, and was, but it was just remarkable to hear how they kind of came out of this this horrific loss as well. Like it was a really, really moving piece as well. And as well, I would also mention I thought Dark Side of the Ring season 6 was actually like a really good season. I would say the Scream Queen Daphne would have been the standout episode for me this year.
I'll jump in there because Dark Side of the Ring seems to be my favorite every year. I know we had the McMahon doc last year, but specifically Becoming Muhammad Hassan, I really loved the guests they got on Dark Side of the Ring this year. They were just so knowledgeable and came across as just experts in the field of wrestling. I also loved the Vader episode, and the original Sheik might be one of my favorite episodes. It was so sick to see them finally just see like this show gives little documentaries to wrestlers that you might not like. I don't need every episode to be the most horrific thing I've heard, but it's interesting to hear about all these people who again like do this for our entertainment. And John, I also have an honorable mention because I came prepared. I read some of a book.
Okay.
Hear me out.
Yes.
And I know this is a book you haven't read.
Okay.
The book is called Alone by Konosuke Takeshita. I went to Japan and found it in Japanese. If you want to borrow it, on my flight, I attempted to use Google Translate.
How does that work?
It
I mean,
works.
does it work effectively?
It does work. I can tell you. I know, like a premise of reading some of it. He mentions in this book. I'll lend it to you, John. It's a fantastic
Well,
book.
maybe you could write a book review for us.
Hey, that would be all right. Basically, I know he loves Cinnabon, and I didn't get to that part yet. But
Please tell me that's a whole chapter.
Apparently, like as a young kid, he was just obsessed with wrestling, and he sent in like essays to all these.
He
different
wrote an essay on the German
Yeah,
suplex.
yeah. Isn't this crazy? And DDT was the only one to be like, "Fuck it, come train," and that's how he got into DDT. And then the rest is kind of history. But this book is all about like how he turned 30 in 2025, and like basically a lot of his journey. So I haven't necessarily completed this, but you should have seen me on this flight trying to use this.
I thought you were gonna blow my mind. Is I learned Japanese on the plane ride over, and I read this book coming home.
Arigato gozaimasu, sumimasen. That's all I got, and kampai. But yeah, I thought it was interesting, and I would like an English translation of it, but it hasn't come out yet. And I was in a Japanese, like a wrestling store, and I saw it, so I was like, I'm gonna have to grab this. So I thought it was.
So were
pretty
you
cool.
just doing the phone camera?
Yeah, I look like
Okay.
a complete psycho on the. It was like trying to. Okay, he says he wrote. All right, and I went a few pages, and I was like, oh, interesting. Okay.
Davey.
I normally just default to Dark Side of the Ring. There's not much else I really consume. But as merch is part of it this year, I'm going to go for uniforms. And I'm going to say John Cena's uniforms for the year. I'm
Most lucrative.
Yeah, I'm so pleased how much
wrestling merch
money
of
the
all
company must have made.
Right. Are you
from
talking about his T-shirts?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But I thought, especially Crown Jewel, AJ versus Cena, I thought for wrestling was a really cool visual of it looked like a home team for a sport. Like everyone was in that yellow shirt for Cena. And just I think they did it really well with the like sports teams tie-ins and
Yeah, let's remember, John Cena doesn't like the term merch.
yes,
He
exactly.
had to make that very clear.
Uniforms.
I don't like the term merch.
As much as like it made a lot of money, and we went to lots of shows where you see people wearing it, I don't necessarily think the design of it was very good. It had a giant door on the back of the shirt.
I like the front.
The front was
That's
just
really
like him not wearing a shirt. But I guess like having a different set and color to every city is a smart idea, obviously. But I didn't necessarily find it being the best looking shirt.
What was your best merch?
I can't even think. Wrestling merch has definitely kind of dropped down.
You were actually one of the people
I was
that
the one who
suggested
pitched this, and
adding-
now I don't even have one. Yeah, I guess the John Cena socks that looked so awful would be the number one.
Well, what about the Johnny Knoxville vinyl pop we got?
Someone gave me a Johnny Knoxville WrestleMania vinyl thing. That was cool. I'm trying to think of like you saw AEW did the hologram mask, which was really sad actually. Maybe it's the AEW White Castle lucha mask that they put out a few weeks ago in honor of their White Castle partnership.
I'm arguing we drop merch. That's what I'm taking from all
Clearly, I messed up with that one.
The next topic is best entrance. Last year, I went with Bryan Danielson at All In at Wembley. Wei, you chose Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi coming out at WrestleMania 40. Davey, both you and Braden chose Sting at AEW Revolution that you both attended in Greensboro, North Carolina. So, Davey, why don't you start us off this year for best entrance?
I thought this was harder this year because I don't think there were as many memorable entrances, but one that sticks in my head is Mystico in Arena Mexico in AEW Grand Slam. Just reminded me kind of like that Bad Bunny entrance. Just it was really cool for me for the first time seeing everyone singing along and knowing his song, and just made him. It was finally like we've heard for years, even when he signed as Sin Cara, like, oh, Mystico's the guy. And whenever I saw him, I was like, really? Okay. Like, just seemed like another luchador to me. Didn't really like World on Fire in WWE. And it was that moment where I went, oh, okay, I get it now. So and that was purely from that entrance.
I think it's the song, right? Mi Muero is the song that he uses. Like seeing that Grand Slam entrance, I don't speak Spanish, but I felt it. Like you feel the emotion that all these people were there singing. And then we went to All In, and same thing. He showed up in the gauntlet match, and like, okay, there wasn't everyone singing it, but there was still a lot of people singing that song. And again, it just made me feel some type of way, and I don't even understand what the lyrics are, and I was like singing along and everything, and since then I've been listening to that song a whole lot. So shout out Mi Muero by La Five Estacion. But honorable mention goes to All In as well. The Hangman entrance coming out to like what, and the fistful of dollars, like the whistle and the country stuff, and I just thought it was so like perfect for that scenario. I'm a big fan of those movies and stuff, and to hear that lady whistling and everything was great. And we were there, and Davey, we were trying to rush back to the media for that match to start, and I had to stop Davey's elevator. Like, no, wait, hold on, that's the Clint Eastwood movie song. I gotta listen to this person whistle. And then it ended, and I was like, all right. And then we ran back in the elevator, we went back up, and I thought that was really special too.
So yours is Mystico at Grand
I'm
Slam
gonna say
Mexico.
Mystico too, yeah.
That's my pick as well, Mystico at Grand Slam Mexico. I didn't know if you would end up going with the only time that someone has smoked a blunt on Raw.
Oh shit!
That being Travis Scott
whole year ago.
coming out with
Oh, wait.
so on the launch.
That was, you did say right away.
But was also offset by Travis Scott maybe having the worst entrance of the year at WrestleMania 41,
Yeah.
which was about 12 minutes.
I remember that Raw. You were saying like, Braden, you locked in your entrance of the year, but I guess Travis Scott really tainted the rest of the year. That I completely.
He could have been worst character of the year, to be honest.
True, yeah, that was a sick entrance, but it was Sage, right? That he was smoking. It was Sage.
No, Sage at Chamber. It was a blunt. No.
I know it
I
backwards
don't
when I
think
see
they
one.
were really trying to masquerade what it was. Yeah, so I went with Mystico Grand Slam Mexico. An honorable mention to Saya Kamatani at All-Star Grand Queendom as well. Wait,
Clean sweep here, Mystico.
Mystico.
I don't think this year. I mean, there's one entrance that I just like. I had so much rewatchability for, and it was certainly that one. It was one that I think not just exemplified. I think like Mystico's appeal, but really the appeal of CMLL. And just like an authentic Mexican crowd, you know, and how much fun it is to be at a place like
when
Arena
that gong
Mexico.
hits at Arena Mexico, dude,
Oh my
this
God.
that place goes nuts every week for Mystico. Like it's an incredible entrance, and it got like it showed you really just the like it put so many eyes on CMLL this year just doing that show alone.
Yeah.
And how big everyone came across.
One of this year's like newer theme songs that comes to mind. Also, it doesn't count as entrance, but I think that, I don't know if it's a hot take, but Okada changing his music at All In. I right away instantly didn't even know what the song was. I was like, ooh, he's trying to be a bad guy and he's changing his music. Love it. Only to know and learn that the song is Curiosity by a Japanese band called One OK Rock from the album Detox, which is a fantastic thing. Didn't realize that they were doing stadium shows while I was over there in summer, featuring a rapper from Okinawa. And I think that song works awesome with Okada. And the fact that people are butthurt about him changing the music makes me like it even more because it fits his kind of character that he's been doing.
So did you guys at All in Texas get both Okada with the new entrance and Omega with his
Well,
his
don't
I
get
was
us
gonna
started
say
on that.
I was gonna go there. You know, Okada, Omega is my guy, but I think that is one of the worst entrance music.
Awful.
Like, even if you were to come out to it, okay, I know Final Fantasy people out there. There's some people that like it, but even if you were
none
to
of them
come
are
out,
listening, don't worry.
even if you were to come out with that theme as the opener and pose on the stage and then Battle Cry hits, that would be like the sickest entrance. But instead, he's coming out to this really nerdy, operatic Kingdom Hearts. I don't know what it is, and I love the guy, but that doesn't get you hyped to watch a match.
It's terrible.
Like Battle Cry is a hyped up song, and I think that works so well. But all you need to do is use the intro and then go into the rock song. I don't understand. That's got to be one of my least favorite themes.
All right, new category is Best TV Episode, a singular episode of pro wrestling television in 2025. Wei Ting kicks off this new category.
My choice for best TV episode was AEW Dynamite's Blood and Guts this year. It was a card that only featured 3 matches, but obviously 2 of them were Blood and Guts. Both of them I thought were outstanding. And then the match in between that I think normally it should be an entirely, it'd be fine if it was just a throwaway match. It was Paige versus Hobbs in an Falls Count Anywhere brawl that was just awesome. Stylistically, you wouldn't necessarily think that's something that I guess was a bit more hardcore in nature would fit, but it fit because they were able to get out of the ring, out of the cage setup, and they were able to do things that the other 2 big matches weren't able to do, and that's brawl everywhere and deliver, I think, outstanding action. So it featured, I mean, it was a great profile and a showcase for Hobbs as well as Paige on an episode that where they weren't in either of the main events. But as an entire viewing experience at about 2 hours, I thought it was just outstanding.
What was your best episode, Braden?
I think my favorite TV episode was AEW Spring Break. because it had 2 solid matches that just off the top
This
of
was
my head.
Spring Breakthrough.
Spring Breakthrough. Sorry, yes, I get confused with Spring Breakin' from
Breakin'.
NXT. Breakin' Chicken,
Rippin'
Strippin',
Chicken.
yeah. Spring Breakthrough, which was Osprey Takeshita 2, really hot TV match, one of the best matches this year on TV for sure. And I'm pretty sure it was also Athena versus Mercedes on
Yes.
the exact same show
In
And
Boston.
yeah, I just felt like almost a little like those 2 alone. I'm smitten. I'm going out with that. But they had some other like I think trios matches and stuff. But those 2 matches were just so good, and it felt like a little bit of a pay-per-view. And I kind of felt the same with Winter is Coming towards the end of the year. Just like it felt like a little free pay-per-view on TV with some just fantastic wrestling. So, but I'm gonna go with Spring Breakthrough simply because Osprey Takeshita 2 was fire.
That was my pick as
Oh,
well. I also love this venue. This was the MGM Music Hall at Fenway in Boston. And yes, you had the aforementioned matches that Braden mentioned. This was the debut of Josh Alexander, and he had this outstanding Owen Hart quarterfinal match with Hangman.
Yeah.
Hurt Syndicate against the Gates of Agony in 8.5 minutes. And the main event was the Ops winning the trios belts from the Death Riders. This was just an awesome 2 hours of Dynamite, and they had some spectacular episodes this year. And this one edged out for me Grand Slam Mexico, which was my number 2 pick. Davey.
Yeah, like Blood and Guts was definitely on my mind, as it was the Mexico show. I went for the Thanksgiving Eve episode of Dynamite, which I love the Continental Classic this year. I thought that was the best Continental Classic they've done. And this match this card just had some really great matches. You opened with Fletcher versus Okada. You had Moxley versus Dorado, which was just such a styles clash that just worked. And you had Mox storyline wise coming off those submission losses. So every submission Dorado was locking in, you were kind of biting on that. Kevin Knight versus Darby Allin was awesome, and I think a real shock finish as well. I don't think anyone really expected Kevin Knight to win that. And then the main event, Claudio and Orange, they always have fun matches together. And I'm pretty sure it was on this show as well, where you had like Hangman and Swerve like uniting as well to like fight off the Op. So I just remember like thoroughly enjoying this episode, mainly for just the pure wrestling on this.
All right, we will see if Dynamite extended to the full year with best weekly TV show encompassing the entire year. Last year, Way and Davey chose Raw. Braden, you had Dynamite, and I had CMLL at Arena Mexico on Friday nights. I'm going with Dynamite this year. I mean, when you go through, it's the blessing and the curse of the wrestling you get on this show that you kind of need an excuse like this to go back and look at all that happened this year. And you're just going through, like, as we just mentioned, like Osprey Takeshita in Boston, and you get, you know, the Blood and Guts matches. Swerve and Osprey in June had this incredible match. Hangman and Moxley's rematch after All in Texas. All of the Young Bucks party matches, the Continental Classic, Hangman and Fletcher. I mean, you could just go on and on and on, but I thought Dynamite had just an extraordinary year of weekly television. Their attendance has not reflected it. It's not like they've seen the spike for TV, but they have rectified the idea. They're not booking these big arenas now. They're finding your music halls in local cities, new arenas like the one you mentioned where Tony Storm cut the promo on the balcony. They're finding places where the atmosphere is not pulling down the show, and I think that's a happy medium. If you're not going to be drawing 8,000 fans, get a hot 3,000 and find a venue where it feels full, and it's a plus, not a negative. So let's go to Davey next for best weekly TV show.
Yeah, I'm the same. Dynamite. I think the last couple of years, WWE really upped it. I'm pretty sure didn't both of us go for 3-hour versions of Raw last year? Like we? I think before the Netflix one.
Oh, that's right. That's right. This would have been pre-Netflix.
It really found its stride like towards the end of that year. Whereas this year I found like there wasn't any other option really apart from Dynamite. It's the show I most look forward to every week. I think they really found their footing again this year, as you mentioned earlier, like focusing more on young talent. You saw people like Speedball and Kevin Knight really breaking through, the ascension of Kyle Fletcher still, and just, yeah, great TV wrestling every week.
Yeah, I do not like. It's fine every now and then. I really don't want to see 3-hour Dynamites become a routine thing, and you could certainly see that now that they're doing at least even one a month. I think is kind of pushing it. I think two hours 5 matches, a big promo segment. I think that's kind of the sweet spot they've got. But Wade, what did you have?
It's Dynamite. I mean, if I'm thinking back to last year, I think a big part of that reason was because, I mean, maybe Raw was considered a bit on an ascent, whereas Dynamite felt very much on a descent for over the course of the year. That was certainly not the case this year. This was just an incredible year for Dynamite. It's the toughest show for us to like review. I mean, anybody who takes notes during it is completely well aware just how crazy of a pace it is to try to keep up with, but it's also the most enjoyable with the highest quality wrestling. And
Hardest show to review with a young baby under the age of 1.
certainly, yes. But it's got really great promos throughout the course of the year as well, and especially like throughout the course of the C2, really just kind of like making every single match and feel that much more relevant and important to watch. So, yep, Dynamite for me.
It's easily hands down the show I'm like most interested in watching. If I watch anything in 1 week, it's always that show. Like I'll try to watch it on Wednesdays. If I don't, like I gotta see what happened, even when it's not necessarily my favorite episode. Because I'm sure there's times I don't like a lot of the stuff they put on TV too, but there's so much good wrestling, and I show up for the wrestling. And then this year, you know, there is always the argument of like, oh, well, the storytelling, this and that. Like I thought this year there was some stories. I mentioned Moxley, like that whole arc with Hangman, the post All In story was really interesting. I'm really into the Okada Fletcher, Takeshita, Don Callis, and then 70 other people. Like I'm just interested in some of the stuff they put on, and like the wrestling always hits. I can't find an episode where I'm like, wow, there's nothing on that show that did anything for me. But every week it's like the most, I don't know, it reminds me why I'm a fan of wrestling. Like I'll tune into Raw because Davey would be like, hey, watch Raw this week. There was this. I watched it. I'm like, this was a complete waste of my time, where I do not ever feel that when I watch Dynamite. I feel like this is why I like watching this. Like there's people who watch TV shows who don't like them. But when I watch it, I'm like, this reminds me of like my fandom of why I like this in the first place. They cater it to me. I've mentioned they don't do like the GMs or the stupid, they don't insult my intelligence as much as WWE does. So,
And worst TV series, it's a clean sweep. We're all going with 3-hour SmackDowns. And that takes us to best pay-per-view / PLE. Last year, I chose AEW Revolution, which was Sting's retirement. Way went with WrestleMania 40. Davey, you specifically said night 2 of WrestleMania 40, which was Cody winning the title. And Braden, you also had Revolution, same as me. So, Braden, why don't you start us off with best pay-per-view / PLE for 2025?
Yeah, selfishly, again, we like to travel for a lot of wrestling. So this was another year of, you know, being there live for a lot of shows. And we picked some really good ones. Toronto was lucky enough to get AEW All Out, which was a lot of fun. And we had Elimination Chamber, which that was
an excellent show.
It might be one of my favorite WWE shows I've ever been to in my entire life. Like, and I've been to some really shitty house shows and some really good WrestleManias, but it had like
Owens and Zayn got so overshadowed. Like I watched it, I was like, this is one of the best street fights this company has ever. Like this was one of the best matches of the year, and I haven't heard that match brought up anywhere. And
well, you got to listen to Best Match Ever. Part 1 is available for free, so Poisonrana.ca.
I got 5 hours ahead of me.
I felt like that was a Canadian classic, and that I was smitten with that. I was like, wow, two guys I've watched wrestle in front of 20 people are now in the Sky Dome. But then on top of that, you had, I thought, a really solid Elimination Chamber main event there, and then the John Cena moment. I just felt like it was a full, like Toronto was buzzing from that show, but that's not my pick. I'm going with AEW
Classic
All
Braden.
In. You know I love my honorable mentions. If I had to pick my favorite WWE event, it would be Elimination Chamber. And if I had to pick AEW, it would be All In. But I did like All In a lot. I think my one critique of AEW pay-per-views is they go so long. And I get so tired of just, there's no downtime. It's just go, go, go. Whereas WWE is a lot of commercials. So I need to find that sweet spot. But All In had the epic main event. It had Okada, Omega. It had the tag match. It had the gauntlets. Like it just felt like a very special show. We went to the original Wembley All In, and it felt crazy to see all these people. But for Texas to show up, it felt really special. And I thought they over-delivered with the content that they put out in that show. So All In.
Davey, best pay-per-view.
I also went All In Texas. I think this was the first All In where it really felt like their WrestleMania. I think the first one they did in Wembley, which was a fun show, but I think they kind of missed the boat on what All In should be. And that's their biggest show of the year. And this year, you know, the incredible main event with Hangman and Mox I really loved Tony versus Mercedes. I thought that was great. The gauntlet matches are always fun. I wouldn't say they were necessarily the best casino gauntlets they've done, but both of them they're always really fun to see. But also, I think the way they managed to turn the crowd around with the heartbreaking Adam Cole announcement and then making the decision to give Dustin Rhodes his flowers, I thought was such a great move in picking up this crowd. You know, they could have just done another singles match and you give the title to Kyle Fletcher and we move on. But instead, I think it was the feel-good moment the crowd really needed. And it gave this like extra energy that drove you through to the rest of the show. Because, man, sitting there when Adam Cole essentially announcing his retirement, like, and it's a long show, you felt like heartbroken, you felt drained. And I thought that was such a great move to go to Dustin with that. And in Texas as well. And it lifted the crowd. And then, man, the finale, the main event was just out of this world.
Big Boom AJ.
Yeah, that as well.
Yeah. The Rizzler showing up in a cowboy hat. I lost my mind. Actually, as we got into the venue, we saw the Von Erichs and they did the claw. And I was like, I just saw the Von Erichs do the claw in Texas. I don't think I need anything else to see on this show. And yet I was very pleasantly surprised.
Wait.
My choice was AEW Double or Nothing. And this was a show that was highlighted by Paige versus Ospreay, but for me, Anarchy in the Arena was like maybe one of the best examples of that particular match type that I've ever seen from them. Like I don't know, every year I watch that match and it's just like sends me into like a different level of like emotions that no other wrestling match throughout the course of the year is able to. It just feels like such an incredible party, and I felt like this one between Omega, Strickland, the Ops, and Willow Nightingale versus the Death Riders and the Young Bucks was maybe one of my favorites that they've ever done.
There was a stretch here of like Revolution, Dynasty, Double or Nothing, all in Texas. It was just like, I don't know if we've ever seen a run of pay-per-views like that. Like, they were just at an incredible level this year. I think All in Texas was the most important show of the year for AEW for a lot of reasons. It forced them to do the afternoon deal that I think is, it was a blessing in disguise that they have realized we can run in the afternoon. They had to face competition from NXT and Saturday night's main event. It was a big peak moment. To your point, Davey, I think it's really now established this is the crown jewel of our shows. But I also went with Double or Nothing because this was just from Anarchy in the Arena, which is probably the most fun match to watch all year. We got like bodies by drowning pool and a bunch of like 18 to 49-year-olds, mainly on the upper side of that, just losing their minds. A totally like some semi-forgotten stretcher match with Ricochet and Mark Briscoe. That was like maybe the best stretcher match ever. Okada and Speedball. You had Hangman and Ospreay. That was like the culmination of, to me, the Owen was the turning point for AEW this year. Like, the perception of AEW to me shifted once that tournament took off. You saw Hangman and Ospreay. I think people could argue either way. So you had that interesting drama of that match and setting up the run-up to All in Texas. So there were some great options from AEW this year. Elimination Chamber, I thought, was the best WWE show of the year.
It had like, the big moment, but even if it didn't have John Cena turning, like, I thought the show itself was...
You had Jade's return, that was so great, and you have Bianca in the pod, as she was excellent in that.
Even the Chamber, like, Punk and Cena were interacting.
The final stretch of the Chamber
it was actually
awesome.
really good.
Yeah.
Another shout out, like you said, AEW had this incredible run. Revolution, I think, gets snubbed this year because the finish with like, was it Moxley and Cope and then Christian? And I think that may be like one of the worst AEW main events. But before that, you had the three in a row of like
Tony Storm and Mariah May was the Falls Count Anywhere. Kenny and Takeshita, and then Ospreay Fletcher in
the cage,
which I just rewatched this weekend.
Oh my god, what a match!
Is one of the most,
like, tell me a show that has 3 matches like that in a row. That, like, okay, again, because of the main event, people maybe like brush that show off.
And you had that awesome Hangman MJF opener to the pay-per-view as well.
Like, just I can't think of a pay-per-view 3 matches in a row that hit that level.
I think you end with the Hollywood ending, and that show would be remembered differently. And I think there was a great opportunity to main event with the women, and it would have felt like the main event.
Right.
And I think if you had the bullshit men's main event earlier in the show, people would forgive it a bit more.
Yeah.
Now we go to the worst pay-per-view or PLE of the year. We go a year ago, Braden and Way went with WWE Crown Jewel. Davies was Elimination Chamber of 2024. And I had New Beginning in Nagoya from New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm going to start us off this year because I'm going to go back to the beginning of the year. And I was not on assignment for this show. Instead, I got to listen to Kate from Montreal and Wei Ting review The People versus GCW. GCW's return to the Hammerstein Ballroom amid criticism from people such as Way and myself from the first show. And let's just say the verdict went to the people because they were right in their first assessment of the Hammerstein. And the return was a 2.89 rating on Cage Match. You had just a brutal injury that Alley Catch sustained early on, which totally messed up plans for later in the show. This one went forever, leading to a Effie beating Mance Warner for the GCW title. We got to see Way's favorite, Tommy Invincible, face Matt Cardona. We had Megan Bain against Atticus Cogar. Josh Barnett against Tom Peastock, the former Baron Corbin. Everything was underwhelming. El Hijo del Vikingo and Sidney Akeem, I thought would be unbelievable, and it was very believable in the sense that it was nothing that would knock your socks off. This was a brutal show, and it was all about their redemption, and it was just a mess.
It was really long. It was 5.5 hours.
Oh my God.
And the biggest issue it continues to be it's their inability to do blood in New York.
I don't know why Hammerstein, other than like this just obsession of ECW lore, that like this should be in Jersey, this should be anywhere but Hammerstein, and it's just like they've made this like their biggest spotlights have been their biggest swings and misses to me. Like I don't think anything has approached the first Hammerstein show in terms of like visibility and interest, and the lack of success these shows ended up having. I think it has had a residual effect on the GCW brand that has been hurt by this. And it's kind of, I think a lot, it's centered around Mania weekend, and it's not as much attached to being able to branch out and do a big event like this, or at least their second attempt at Hammerstein. Wait.
My choice for worst pay-per-view this year was WWE's WrestlePalooza. And honestly, like the wrestling on the show is
the only pay-per-view that has resulted in a class action lawsuit. So
you're right.
That's a first.
There's that. I mean, what was it like Brock and Cena? Like it was, but even that is secondary to, I think, like the over corporatization of just the entire thing. I mean, I already felt it really on that Netflix special this year, but when it came to this ESPN debut, I think the most egregious thing we got to see was this triple threat of commercials that took place throughout, where you had Riyadh season, followed immediately by a Real American Beer ad, in their opinion, paying homage to Hulk Hogan. But I mean, it was very different from that. But the topper was the first ever EMF friendly match between Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker versus the Usos. Where Aries sponsored this, and for people who are not aware, these are fucking cards that are somehow able to protect the wrestlers from harmful EMF rays.
Presented to you by Voodoo.
Yeah, that may be omitted from I'm guessing the lights and the cameras and whatnot. Of course, made all the more special by the fact that nobody in the other matches got the benefit from this Aries technology, so they clearly didn't care enough to protect anybody else. I was just like, it was just so sickening, honestly. Like, plus the overloading of like the Paul Levesque of it all at the beginning of the show with their video packages and all that. If to me, like this year is going to be well remembered for like the year where I think the audience really turned a corner on how they perceive this company and how blatant they are with their synergies and whatever you want to call it, and this show to me exemplified
and it failed to accomplish at least one of the objectives, which was to handicap the AEW pay-per-view that day. AEW bit the bullet. They moved their show earlier, and their number, like they did, according to like the Observer reporting of it, like their buys were completely unaffected by this ESPN launch, which all the hype that went into. We have not seen any level of promotion for an ESPN show since that first WrestlePalooza. And I'm sure it'll ramp up for Rumble and Mania, but they put all of their attention on that show. And it just felt at the end like they really jumped the gun. You had people that were so confused about how to even watch this show if you're an ESPN subscriber, because they didn't communicate it clearly that there's only, it depends on what carrier you have if you even get this app. And having to tell your other fan base, you might get ESPN, but you got to pay $30 for this app. So they're also trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube after a decade of the network and Peacock, where you were getting these for a streaming amount,
$9.99,
and now you've got to pay more for some of your audience. So yeah, Russell,
and even the ESPN reporter gave it what,
C.
A C?
A
Right,
C.
yeah.
a C.
Let's go to Braden for worst pay-per-view of the year.
Yeah, I picked that show as well. I just think like having Triple H explain, yeah, we needed a new name, so I came up with WrestlePalooza. It's like, first of all, that was a name, and second of all, if you came up with a name, that's what you came up with. Okay, yeah, sure.
Palooza.
Oh man, it's just everything I hate about WWE. It's like, first of all, you brought Brock back, and you could look at so many reasons not to enjoy watching Brock Lesnar in 2025. I'm just sick of him to begin with. I don't want to see him. So him squashing John Cena was dumb as fuck. And then I don't know, this was everything I hated. Like all the ads, you said it, way. It just felt like this reminded me. This was the reason. Like I tuned in maybe the day after to watch it or whatever. I was like, this is not for me. Like this is all ads. It's all like commercialized. And then in the end, the guy from ESPN gives it a C. It's just like so funny that is how people looked at it. And yeah, trying to book stuff over AEW, sure, whatever. Business is business. But then, like, yeah, they had the AJ Lee. Was that not where she came back?
Yes,
right?
fucking
Like,
AJ. That was great.
I feel
really
like, oh,
enjoyed that.
cool, like she's coming back. But I didn't necessarily like the match, and I don't know. I just felt like this show was they treated it like this was gonna be the biggest thing ever. And I know we're in Canada, so we have Netflix and WWE and everything is so easily accessible. But hearing some of our friends and listeners in the States, like, it's kind of a slap in the face, to be honest, to be like, hey, give us your fucking money. And then you do. And then this is what you got. It's just ads for Riyadh season. It is kind of gross. Like it really makes me not want to watch WWE for many other reasons.
So Braden, do you have a different pick, or is it another?
Well, no, that was my honorable mention. My honorable mention.
That was your honorable mention?
No, I'm joking. My honorable mention would be that GCW shows, like they treated it like this is the people versus GCW, and the people did not win. I don't think anyone won from that show. I was really disappointed while watching that show. I don't know. For some reason, I was like, no, I'm going to support. I'm going to see what these guys can do. They're going to right their wrongs. And they really did not do that. I thought that was a big ball dropping from GCW. But yeah.
Was it WrestlePalooza?
No, for me, it was Survivor Series this
Oh.
year. I think, like, I like what they've done in WWE now, where they're not having Hell in a Cell branded pay-per-views. They bring that out for a special occasion. Even I thought the way recently they marketed 3 Stages of Hell felt special, like making it important. This match rarely happens. It's a big, big blow-off match. I think now just we know it's Survivor Series season and we're getting these 2 War Games matches. And both of these just felt like there wasn't really any story. It was just like, here's our stars, let's dump them in a cage. Honestly, both matches, apart from the EO spot, the cage didn't need to be there. There wasn't really anything violent about these matches. And coming off just, 10 days after Blood and Guts, where you're seeing how this should be done, it made this feel even lesser than Stephanie Bouquet versus Nikki Bella wasn't very good. And then, like, Dom versus Cena was fine, but we just seen that match. And for me, knowing we only have, I think 1 or 2 matches after this left for Cena, that we're having a second Dom match, I just felt like, come on, there's other stuff we can do now. We're so few on dates for John Cena, and you're just doing this rerun with Dom with a bullshit finish. But yeah, like, War Games in WWE is dead for me. Like they need to think more of than just kendo sticks and trash cans to be violent. And I just thought the whole show was incredibly weak.
We have 4 categories remaining. We go next to best promotion for the year of 2025. I will get mine. Oh, well, let's look first to last year, where it was a clean sweep. The last 2 years have been all WWE. That has been
Wow.
indicative of where WWE has been the last 2 years. Is WWE going to get anyone's vote this year? It's not from me. Probably not surprisingly from some of my other picks. I went with CMLL this year. Just a couple of stats is that this year, and these stats came from the Observer. 25 shows that drew in excess of 15,000 people or more. WWE drew 24 in comparison. And CMLL, that's a rise from 6 last year. They sold out 6 events during the last week of 2025, including 3 consecutive sellouts at Arena Mexico. That's 16,000 or more. They estimate that they had 63 sellouts all year at Arena Mexico, over 1.14 million tickets sold to Arena Mexico, led by the likes of Mystico, Templario, Máscara Dorada, and also rising talent like Utani, and so many others, Neon as well. I really thought this was the year of CMLL. The biggest hurdle for them is that it's really tough to follow them, because to sign up for their YouTube channel, like it's like $35 US a month. It's a really costly product, and they have no ambitions of expanding into the US. Like, they are a Mexico and primarily a Mexico City based product, but this affiliation with AEW has made a lot of the talent want to go there, and there's more eyes on it internationally than ever. But you would like, I just wonder how much more they could be expanding if it was less of a barrier. That's kind of one area they fall in. So, best promotion.
AEW. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this entire conversation to me just really highlights what an incredible year that they had, and it's almost like to the point where it's hard for me to imagine WWE, like me picking WWE over them in this category. And I'm sure we had incredibly valid reasons for the past 2 years, but this year has been an incredible resurgence for, I think, their company. I think so much of it has to do with just like Tony not like shooting himself in the foot through his media appearances as well, and through his online presence.
The last few months, like, his media interviews have actually gotten like so much better. Like, from when they were just so hard to get through, it wasn't just like the interview he did with Ariel, that recent one with Case Lowe. Yep. It's like he is certainly like he is definitely improved in that front. Like, if he is going to be the face and voice of the company, it's at least gotten better. And the guy, to his credit, he has not taken the bait this year. And that has been, he has had so many opportunities where he could.
It's really been the opposite, where it's WWE that is the one, trying to prod and take the shots and trying to counter program. And that in turn has made them look worse, has made them look bad. And AEW has just kind of like stuck towards their direction, and they've just focused on creating great shows and presenting a great product for its audience. And they've more than satisfied that this year.
Davey?
Yeah, I mean, I only really watched the 2 promotions fully, and I think WWE completely lost the ball, dropped the ball last year. I think they lost sight of what fans want. And sure, they might be financially very successful, but my enjoyment of a movie isn't based on how much money it made or how many people go to see it. And AEW, I think you mentioned that run of pay-per-views they had. I think the TV really recently with the Continental Classic was fantastic. And I think just serving their fans really well. And I don't think WWE was serving their fans. And I think they've gone, whereas for a while it felt like they were actually listening and serving us, they've gone back to shut up and like it. I hate hearing wrestlers criticizing, people like us for reviewing and rating and things. You want people talking about your art. Otherwise, why the fuck are you doing it? Like, it's not like wrestling is the only thing that gets rated. Movies do. Food does. Art does. And if no one's talking about it, then why fucking bother? So you've got to take the pros with the cons, the negative with the good stuff. And I'm sick of the smug face of Triple H, all part of the show, brother, and all stuff like that. It's like, no, they've had a poor year creatively, really poor year. And sure, they might still be making money, but that is going to burst at some point, and I think the boom's over. And we were in the boom a couple of years ago. But yeah, AEW hands down were giving me as a fan what I want in wrestling.
I'm the same. AEW, like, John, CMLL, this is the most CMLL I watched this year. It is difficult to watch it, but various means I've checked out. Like, now I know someone is Neon and stuff because I watch. I'm like, whoa, I would watch a lot more of it if it was more a little bit like, but I haven't. But I did check out a lot more this year than I have in the past. But AEW, full stop. Like, WWE, I don't feel like it's wrestling. It feels like it's a parody of what I enjoy watching. And I like people hitting each other and bashing their heads in and stories. And WWE, I don't get any like real enjoyment. I think literally the last time I liked something from WWE was probably the Elimination Chamber, and I was there. And then everything after that, I just felt like whether it's pushing their narratives or Triple H at the White House, I just feel the ick when I watch WWE in 25. And you said it, they had such a good run up to WrestleMania 40 and everything after that. That felt like they got to back to the zeitgeist of pop culture. Like everyone seems to know wrestling. The Laps fans are back, and now we're just complacent, and it's just boring, bad creative. And then Triple H always telling us how much money they've gouged from you doesn't make me want to watch and support. Like, Minecraft was the biggest box office thing this year. We don't have kids, but I don't know if you guys seen it. But like, I'm sure there was a lot of better other movies this year that came out. It doesn't mean Minecraft was the best movie this year. And I hate when fans are like, well, it made the most money. Yeah, so like Taylor Swift's album probably made the most. It doesn't necessarily
I
make
always say
it
you have a choice between McDonald's or a Gordon Ramsay burger. McDonald's is making a lot more money than Gordon Ramsay's burgers are, but I know which burger I want to eat.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Davey is not one when he's on an overseas trip that wants to go to a franchise.
No, not at all.
Yeah. I feel like I love watching this stuff. And when I watch WWE, I don't feel that. I feel like corporate bullshit when I watch it.
Was Demand Lucha in your top 3?
Demand Lucha, we're not talking about good promotions, Toronto promotions, Northern Crown Wrestling at Blood Brothers Brewery. We got to get you guys out. It is fantastic. Shout out Northern Crown and shout out our boys at Demand Lucha. We cannot stress, support your local independent wrestling. As much as WWE gets popular, wrestling as a whole should get popular and raised up. And, buying a John Cena shirt does nothing. Buying an indie wrestling shirt at the gimmick table does a lot more. So go support your independent wrestling. I cannot stress that enough.
All right, now we get to matches. And before we can get the match of the year, we've got to do worst match of the year. And in 2024, Braden and I chose brother versus brother, Jay versus Jimmy Uso on the first night of WrestleMania 40.
What did you guys pick if you didn't pick that?
I thought I picked that one.
This is a good one. Wei had Kota Ibushi and Naomichi Marufuji at Noah the New Year, and Davie Portman chose Konosuke Takeshita versus Ricochet from AEW Full Gear.
Oh, come on.
Right.
Not at your...
No, that match pissed me off.
Yes.
Yeah.
He did not care for that one. I like the bold take that Davie took. And to that point, Davie, why don't you kick this topic off for us?
For me, it's often I class this one as most disappointing, and that, like, Ricochet versus Takeshita sums that up. I think 2 incredible performers, and they didn't play to their strengths at all, and was a pretty dull match, and that's why I went for that. And this year, it doesn't get bigger in wrestling than the main event of WrestleMania, and to shit the bed so badly as they did, and I think follows up with my last point. This match summed up the year WWE had, where they are not aware of what the audience want at all. To not make it clear to your audience through storytelling that The Rock is not going to be there. To take the, let's just ignore it and people will forget. No, we all saw it. We all saw the turn. Just as I mentioned earlier, tell us. Script something that tells us why The Rock isn't there. Shifting that from, Cena selling his soul to The Rock to just being a generic you people storyline going into WrestleMania didn't make sense. Like, I keep forgetting that this is John Cena's monumental 17th title win because it was such a whimper. It didn't have the fanfare it should have. His entrance stripped away where it should be. His final WrestleMania, you should have the marching band out there for him and everything. And then grinding to a halt with Travis Scott, who I don't listen to his music. And honestly, still, he could walk in right now and I wouldn't know who he fucking is. I know I'm alone in that, but a lot of people feel my way as well, who are like, not interested in that kind of music and aren't necessarily as bothered about his star power. In a mid-card, sure. In the main event of WrestleMania, this guy who looks 90 pounds soaking wet coming out and Cody's got to sell for 5 minutes while he's making his entrance to Fiend, which has been like stuck in my head since WrestleMania season. Just a complete bullshit finish, a complete whimper of a match. They did a real good make good with SummerSlam, and like that match was terrific, and I'm happy for them that they got the opportunity to go out again. But it just showed everything that it was like with the Raw Netflix debut, just this company is focused on celebrity and advertisements and moments over storytelling and wrestling. And for me, it's always going to be storytelling and wrestling that pulls me in. And this was a massive turnoff for me.
Do you agree, Braden?
Absolutely. I mean, we watch NXT, and I don't think it's fair to give developmental worst match of the year. There's been plenty of stinkers on Tuesday nights. Don't get me wrong. And there's plenty, but those people are trying to get better. They're not on the main event of WrestleMania, and that is exactly why I agree. Like, we had our watch party in Toronto at our bar, and I don't think I could ever remember just the air being sucked out of an event like that happened.
I remember us faking it. We were all trying to like it and trying to get into the near falls and things, even before the Travis Scott stuff.
I think if John Cena is retiring, first of all, the whole tour should have leaded up to a giant stadium show, whether it's WrestleMania this year or next year, who knows, but they should have programmed around like John Cena's final WrestleMania. Should have been a big deal, and instead he comes out to the blacked out Titantron, the sad mean face, like boo boo face of John Cena. It was just wasn't what we wanted to see from him. And then the match itself, when it started, like Cody's entrance was weird too, with like people doing bike tricks for 5 seconds. Didn't make sense. His mask was cool, I guess. But then they tie up and they wrestle, and I thought, like, okay, when's it gonna get into that gear? And it never really does. And then Travis Scott comes out. Now, okay, Dave, you don't like his music. Birds in the Trap Sing Brian McKnight is a fantastic album, but think back to like the days of Limp Bizkit being used in WWE music. You wouldn't use Fred Durst in the main event of like WrestleMania 18 or 19.
Could you imagine?
Like, yeah, like what?
The only person that makes sense is Mike Tyson, because he's Mike Tyson in a combat sport environment, you know?
Like if anything, this made me hate Travis Scott more than anything. And I grew up with a lot of his music from the past. And I'd say now that he's kind of commercially huge, I don't like a lot of his music. He's kind of like WWE. He's made it as famous as he can possibly be. And I don't like him. And I didn't like how he was brought in here at Chamber. It like, oh, okay, what are they doing here with The Rock, John Cena, Travis Scott? Why is he there? I'm not sure, but we're going to find out. We don't. And then he just walks out so slow. And think of any times people reference how many titles, who's got the most titles in the world? Well, Ric Flair, 16. Now it's John Cena's never seen 17. And there's a fucking asterisk because it's one of the worst WrestleMania matches, main events ever that I can think about.
An even weirder trivia fact. So Travis Scott helped him win his 17th title.
Yeah.
John Stewart prevented him from winning his 17th title.
See, that guy should have showed up at the main event. I just think like it was so bad. And I think of John Cena's last WrestleMania. John Cena wins the 17th title, which possibly no one will ever win a 17th title. And somehow it's dirty, it's muddy, and it sucked.
And everyone's waiting for The Rock's music to hit as well, which it
The
doesn't,
Rock never
which
comes.
adds that disappointment.
Yeah, it got to go down as one of the worst WrestleMania main events ever. And it can't be excused.
Way?
This year I went with a match that I guess was so bad that I wanted to go out of my way to see it. And that was Minoru Suzuki versus Butterbean.
Yes!
Mark
I watched
Hitchcock
this.
Memorial. This was a match that, I mean, I don't know why they made it other than to maybe join in on like the sort of like what the fuck type of matchmaking that like is sort of popular now with, or has been popular for a long, long time with, just these WrestleMania supplementary shows. And Minoru Suzuki, bless him, he's somebody who I don't know if he'll say no to much. You know, he's somebody who just will have matches with pretty much anybody, and maybe he should have said drew the line at Butterbean, because this is a Butterbean that at his age cannot do anything, can't take a bump, won't even can't
This was
sell.
post DDP Yoga Butterbean, and he still had this guy had no business doing anything.
He was in a wheelchair before this, and DDP Yoga or whatever got him out of it, but he didn't do any bumps in this match.
Not at all. And okay, fine. Like, if I'm glad he was able to maybe get in some sort of shape for it, but that's still a far cry from a professional wrestling match, especially along with Minoru Suzuki, who on the same weekend had a match with the Blow Up Doll that was way better than this match.
Yoshi, he was pissed at this match, clearly, right? Like, he clearly was upset that this happened. And then the next night he took took it out on poor Yoshihiko, which was honorable mention for one of my matches of the year coming up. But
On top of that, you didn't even have a real finish. Like they were just hesitant and inactive for a very long time. There are rounds to this because I guess a boxer, he finally gets a takedown where there's zero action here from Butterbean. He tries somehow to like work a leg lock type of battle. And Butterbean just like, I don't know if they just never practiced it or he's never seen a leg lock before, but there's just nothing to this. And then it just ends at a fucking double countout at 9 minutes in length. So I really question the matchmaking here. Like maybe they're given the wrong impression about Butterbean's abilities at his age, but it was really hard to think of a worse match.
This is one of the worst matches I've ever seen.
yeah, it's great.
Regardless of year, it was my pick, and it wasn't even like this was solidified. I knew on April 17th I wouldn't see anything worse than this. Some honorable mentions that I'll throw in. The worst Motor City Machine Guns match I've ever seen was with Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy, June 13th on SmackDown.
Yeah.
That Cena R-Truth match that they finally inserted on June 20th on SmackDown. Zelina Vega and Chelsea Green had a horrific match on Saturday night's main event. And Red Velvet and Kira at Fantastica Mania June 20th was a sight to see, as well as some of the worst matches.
Suzuki Butterbean, when that was announced, it's like people like me, I was like, fuck yeah, this is going to be awful. This is going to be so ass. Whereas WrestleMania main event, you shouldn't be going into that being like, oh, this is gonna... So like, that's where I think I changed I wrote that match down like months ago as worst match ever. But then you're hype and you're going into WrestleMania and it's somehow it was worse than that. I found very sick enjoyment watching Butterbean versus Suzuki. Especially when
Seven involved as well.
there's a few UFC guys. It's clearly when Suzuki's pissed and they're like brawling ringside, if you can call it that. And he definitely like hits Butterbean once, and Butterbean like falls over, and it's kind of like, yo, what the fuck are you doing?
Suzuki's rate just went up for this show for this year in Vegas.
Rematch.
He was really. I got to meet him, and he was very scary in real life. Pancrase legend, but wow, what a match!
Okay, match of the year in 2024. This was amazing. Me, Wei, and Braden all chose separate Will Ospreay matches last year. I had him and Danielson at Dynasty. Wei went with Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher from Full Gear, and Braden went with Ospreay and Takeshita from Revolution. Davey, you went with Swerve and Bryan Danielson at All In London. So, Wei, why don't you start us off with match of the year?
Yeah, my match of the year this year was the Hollywood ending for Toni Storm and Mariah May. And again, like there's been incredible wrestling this year. I had a very pretty good list of just a lot of great ones, and I'm sure you guys will mention some of them. But like for me, while not necessarily bell to bell, what I might consider the best wrestling match that you might picture in your head, I just thought the effect of it, choosing to go the pace that they did with this death match, type of show was just an incredible way to just draw you in from the get-go. I think there was a level of risk and violence that I just didn't expect out of a feud so built on cartoonish characters, and they were just unloading crazy spots from the beginning, and it was just big spot after big spot. You had your duct tape glass fight between the two, and just a lot of thought put into the visuals, in particular, of course, towards the final moments and the final end that ended with the end on the screen. I think a lot of it just had such great thought put into it, and was a level of creativity that I was just so incredibly satisfied by for what ultimately was an incredible way to say goodbye to the company for Mariah May. So I thought it was a masterpiece, and it stuck with me throughout the course of the year.
Braden, what was your match of the year?
My match of the year was a match I got to attend at AEW All In Texas, the Texas Death Match. As the entrances hit and the lights turned a dark orange in the stadium, a very scary Texas storm hit Arlington, and it was perfect for when this match kicked off. And about a minute or 2 minutes into this match, Moxley goes to use a fork, and Hangman says, I have one, and repeatedly stabs the guy in the head as it shoots out blood. Again, seconds into this match, and that's when I knew right away that this was probably my match of the year. It was almost like if WrestleMania 40 Night 2 was Endgame of WWE, this kind of felt like that for AEW. You had Bryan Danielson coming back. You had Darby being there live. We weren't sure. It wasn't until I rewatched this back of how they were able to show Darby's insane stunt of dropping down from the stadium. And Davey and I have some great video. In fact, got to talk to the people who rigged up Darby afterwards in the media box. And it was, I was straight up like, you guys did this? That was insane. And it came across on TV so awesome. And then on top of that, the big moment with Swerve, kind of like Vegeta and Gohan beating up Cell. It was like, whoa, they're together now. They're going to fight and he's helping him. It was, I don't know. It was like a perfect storm of very violent wrestling, which I know can't be everyone's cup of tea, but when it's warranted, it makes a lot of sense. And it hit on so many different things of like the story, the violence, and everything in between. I thought everyone involved in this hit their part so perfect. And I felt like people were kind of tired as that match started. But if you watch it back, the volume in the stadium gets louder and louder. And by the time Hangman finally has that big dramatic ending where Mox taps out, it's beautiful, and the place goes nuts. And I'll always remember just how that felt being there in that stadium. So there's a lot of good wrestling this year, but this one comes to mind as like one of my favorite things that I've been able to attend. So shout out Texas Death.
Davey.
Yeah, the same thing. Texas Death Match at All In. Just everything I love in wrestling. Like for me, a match isn't just bell to bell. It's the story leading into it. It's the video package. It's the entrances. It's the celebration after. It's everything. And for me, this had such a good story going in. We mentioned earlier the entrance with the whistler as Hangman comes out, and you're seeing him on his ranch in the video. But also the camera work. It goes to the heel entrance and then goes to the babyface entrance where Hangman finally comes out to his old babyface theme. So you know you've got the real hanger going into it. Somehow they outdid their last Texas Death from Revolution to 2023, I think it was, which was incredible. But I think with this match, it made me feel. And for me, it's always, for me to go to that 5-star territory, I need to feel something. I need to feel some sort of emotion. And I felt a lot in this match. I felt sick watching Moxley getting stabbed in the head with the fork. I felt like euphoria seeing Danielson return. And again, like
you mean Blue Panther? You mean
yes?
Yeah.
But the vantage point we had, like we saw, you see on TV Darby coming from like the score screen, the giant screen in the middle. He probably had like 20 feet above that he starts coming down, and was just crazy to watch. But it worked really well for me because I'm distracted watching Darby come down, and I'm watching it, following it, and then I sort of get to the screen and I see Danielson's in the ring with the Blue Panther mask. So the distraction for me as an audience member was the same as like Moxley is feeling in the match, where he's looking everywhere for Darby and then Danielson's just there. I think everyone played their part so well. Like the little sleight of hand with Nana cuffing Marina, and just everyone being like, no, fuck these guys. Like, we need to take this back from them. And then just the real emotion, like just seeing the belt coming out of the briefcase, and you hear the roar from that crowd of just there's the roar when he wins, but then there's the pop of just revealing the title and genuine emotion coming out of Hangman. And you mentioned, like, and you don't see this on the TV, but the roof of Globe Life Field is glass. And they put these orange lights on for the main event, but the clouds just got black above us and rain's coming down. Wow. So you really felt like this is the finale of a movie. This is, them in the desert and the rainstorm starting and a cactus sets on fire. It really felt like that.
He shows up in a truck with the guys in the back of it. It's shit's about to go down.
Everything was perfect for me in this match, and it will be remembered for a long time.
Yeah, there's few things that can bring men to tears, like the beautiful poetry exemplified by a bed of nails.
Yeah,
to really signify the
and Mox is selling at the end, like you believe he's gonna die, like he's choking, and it's the same finish than before, which I love. But it's like, it's not like Moxie's the kind of character who, okay, maybe until recently, he's like, you can break my arm, I'm not relinquishing this championship. You can't kill me though. And that's what Hangman is. It's like, I'm going to choke you to death unless you tap. And just it was fantastic.
I may have made the mistake of showing this match to my girlfriend last week, and she thought it was very violent, but she also was like, "That was pretty cool."
It's also the struggle in the match. I think there are so many death matches where a guy just allows someone to take a pizza cutter to their forehead. I'm like, why are you not fighting that off? Every moment in this with the glass, with the forks, it's them really trying not to have that happen to you, which makes it a believable fight.
Yeah.
All right, my matches. You know, you guys had some excellent ones to pick from. I would say like the big three for me. I thought that Kenny Omega and Gabe Kidd, when I saw it, I thought that like this is going to be the high bar for the year, and it was exceeded for me. But I think we went in and there were still all these questions about Kenny Omega, but you had the drama of him returning to the Tokyo Dome. It was to me the anointment of Gabe Kidd, which unfortunately really didn't come to pass in New Japan in 2025. But man, did this match just hit at such a high level, and watching how like you can see in the match where it goes from Omega like reading the crowd that, okay, I'm the outsider here. And they do literally like change the direction of the match by when he puts him through the table at ringside and the crowd is booing Kenny and he just turns on heel, and it's Gabe Kidd honoring Shibata and wearing the New Japan outfit, and it's just the whole both just juice an incredible amount in this match as well.
And I have to say, like, I don't know how other people feel about this, but I feel like a big part of the success of that match was Chris Charlton's commentary for me in the storytelling. I know it probably upset a lot of other people, but like for me, I thought it just like helped tell the story really, really well.
And then Tanahashi crying at the end. You knew it was a
Yeah,
banger.
there was that aspect to it too. Saya Kamatani and Tam Nakano was just, again, like I thought like you can't get higher for a retirement match. I thought that was just like a wonderful, wonderful match. My pick though was Bandito and Konosuke Takeshita from Supercard of Honor from ROH. This match was just watching two people at their absolute best with picture perfect like accuracy. It's one thing to get to a stage where you've got the crowd in the palm of your hands and you can do a lot of your maneuvers that the crowd is educated to, that you can generate big near fall spots out of. And then it's doing slight deviations on those spots that can throw the crowd for a further loop. And to me, like the last, I would say 6-7 minutes of this match, it's operating at a level that this type of match, this was like graduating to an even higher level that it reached. You had Bandito, who was bleeding through his mask in all of this. And just the idea of him beating Takeshita was a really big deal. And I think this match got a ton more attention because if you remember, this was the show that had all the technical issues on Honor Club. So they just threw it on YouTube that night and left it there. So a lot more people got to see this, what was really a great card, but to me, my match of the year.
That is a big thing for fans, and especially if you have friends who are like kind of into wrestling, to be able to send a YouTube link, official link from whether it's WWE, who always puts up full matches from the past. But I noticed Ring of Honor this year, especially that match and other AEW matches, like that can help. If something has happened, sure, it's on a pay-per-view or whatever, but putting it out for free, allowing the masses to see is the best like introduction you could do. We were in Texas that day, and we actually opted out of going to that match. We went to Cowboy Red Rivers and
for barbecue and
line
country
dancing. So it was still a good night. But I remember finally watching that match like a day or two later and being like, "Oh my god, that match was so good!" And I love my boy Takeshita, so I was like, "Oh!" But I do think like I hope we get to see that match again this year, but it was such a perfect like styles clash. Is there any other this is a great honorable mentions, right? We're allowed honorable mentions here, right?
Let's be concise, okay? We've got more to do, and there is a time limit.
You mentioned that cage match, Ospreay and Fletcher. I thought that was one of the best cage matches I've ever seen. Like, there's incredible storytelling and insane spots in that. You mentioned Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, one of the best WWE matches this year for me, also.
And the women's three-way at WrestleMania.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Rhea, Io,
Oh, my
and
God.
Bianca. I thought those were the two best WWE matches I saw this year.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, I wasn't as high on Cena and AJ as others were, but it was an excellent match. Cena and Cody at SummerSlam. Like, Cena's matches, like, the big ones, like, he found that formula, and it was typically, like, as a babyface as well.
Okada, Takeshita, Dorada, I thought was
Yeah,
also
yeah.
up there as well. Anarchy in the Arena, I also wanted to shout out.
Zach and Takeshita, the title change, that was a spectacular match. Goto winning the title, like that feels a long time ago, but that was back in February when he beat Zach, and that was an incredible moment of Goto winning the title.
A match that definitely hit for me was Winter is Coming, Kyle Fletcher and Speedball Mike Bailey. Like what an that. I knew that was gonna bang, but that was like 19 minutes of just these guys going out there and killing each other. But the matches this year there was a lot of good wrestling.
The final category is what you'll remember most from 2025. So this is kind of a combination of last year we had best story of the year, which we all put as Janelle Grant's lawsuit, and best moment of the year, which Way and Davey chose Hangman burning down Swerve's childhood home. Braden picked Cody Rhodes finishing the story, and I had Sting's retirement as the biggest moment of the year. So when 2025 is put into a time capsule, what is going to stand above all else, Davey?
I think Cena's retirement the whole year. I think if you ask me in 10 years' time what happened in 2025, that's the thing I'll remember the most in wrestling. And we've kind of talked all about the bad stuff, the Travis Scott, the heel turn, but there was some great moments as well. And like Cena versus AJ was one of my matches of the year. Again, like that's a match that got me in the feels. The moment with the Sister Abigail, with all the fireflies in the crowd, like genuinely gets me choked up. And then the on the fly 619s and stuff like that. The SummerSlam match was great. I liked the little open challenge he did, the match with Sami Zayn. Like I thought there was some really good stuff in the run as well. I think overall it won't be remembered for being as good as it could be, and there were definitely a lot of bumps along the way. But overall, that's the thing I'm going to remember the most from 2025.
Braden.
Yeah, I agree. Like I wrote down John Cena's heel turn being the main thing I'll remember. Again, being there was a big deal. It felt like one of the biggest moments in WWE history, maybe ever. Everyone always talks about Hogan's heel turn being the biggest. It was in WCW. So really, Cena's the biggest heel turn in WWE history, considering. But I will say it's probably just the whole retirement thing as a whole. Of like, there was some stuff I really loved. Being there in that moment for a few days, the Cena heel turn was amazing. And then it kind of lost me with a lot of the bad stuff that they continued on with. But yeah, Cena's retirement tour, the last time was now.
Yeah, I kind of approached this as like what was the biggest story of the year, and I do go with like the death of Hulk Hogan. I think that it was one that was, you had seen like his health and the situation he was in. I can't say it was completely out of left field, but it was still one that you just saw all the attention it got, and really like a deep dissection of the legacy of Hulk Hogan, the good, the bad. It was all covered. It got. I mean, I certainly cannot recall since like the Benoit story having more like requests to go and speak about things. And for like 2 weeks, it was just nonstop Hulk Hogan and all different coverage and writing and talking about Hogan's death as well. But some other things that came to mind as well, like the launch of TKO Boxing, that I think is going to be an even bigger story this year. UFC's deal with Paramount, AAA being purchased. The Raja Jackson incident, like from a mainstream perspective, like Hogan might have been number one. Raja Jackson might have been the second biggest mainstream pro wrestling story of the year. That got so much coverage because it was all on video, and in this like 24/7 streaming culture, like it was all at the click of a button to get all different angles of what happened here. And the guy could very well end up in prison as a result of this. TNA getting a TV deal as well. For whatever your opinion of, like Punk going to Saudi Arabia was like a really big story this year. But anyway, those are some of the other mentions. But the death of Hulk Hogan to me was the big one. Way.
Yeah. When it comes to just the in-ring product, I definitely think like the Cena heel turn and final run will probably be the thing I think about the most. But I think for me a bigger talking point is the growing dissatisfaction with WWE under TKO. I think this was the year where a lot of people just kind of got really sick of it. Like I think in recent years there was still maybe an infatuation with just the lack of Vince of it all, and this feeling like finally being a company with incredible promotional power behind it that is finally listening to its audience and satisfying its crowds, and that's no greater than exemplified by like WrestleMania 40. But then you just look at it a year later and how unsatisfied its audiences are. I feel like there are more criticisms now than ever of its ticket pricing, its deepening ties to Saudi Arabia, and really making like zero sort of apologies for it at all. Taking away press conferences, just shoving ads in every single space that they possibly can. I feel like that was a major turning point this year for the company.
Like they've created a like segment of like Vince defenders of like Vince would never do this, which is kind of preposterous. It's like Vince was hardly like the shiny, like they make the Vince McMahon era out to be this like mom and pop shop, which it was far from. But like that is part of, if for nothing else, like the sheen of Paul Levesque, I think was greatly taken down in 2025. So that was everybody, correct? Or did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
So there you go. Those were all 21 of our categories, and I think a pretty good summary of the year. The good, the bad, but now it's time for the likely or the unlikely.
But before we go on, maybe we should. I do want to go through some of the audience picks here, and for what people will remember the most, we have people saying Cena and Tanahashi's retirement, Hulk Hogan's passing, and TNA signing a massive deal. We have, let me see here. Remember, well, I guess not everybody choosing to Cena. Yeah, Cena's heel turn, Kyle Fletcher emerging as a star, but most people mentioning the Cena run.
I mean, it seems like not as big now, but like Naito leaving New Japan was like a big deal when that happened, as well. Like there were several, talent exits from various companies as well. But maybe some of those will come up in our lists. So first we will revisit our list from last year and how everyone voted. So we start off. The first scenario was John Cena winning a 17th title. The three of you all said likely. I was the detractor that said no, just have him chase all year. This was Braden's input. Find out why JBL is clotheslining everybody. All of us would say likely. I don't think we got an answer to
We
this.
did. He's back. He's back in the ring. He's working.
Yeah, but this didn't really play out in GCW nor TNA. Really, he was Nick Nemeth's like muscle.
He tried to get Josh Briggs over in NXT. I think that's where this was all leading to. So.
Big E wrestling a match. All of us said unlikely to that. The Bloodline Civil War is still ongoing. We all said likely. While there's like weird fractures of it in the MFTs, I would say the Bloodline Civil War is
It's still going.
It's done.
It's done.
No,
It's
it's
done.
still going.
NXT does a show at the American Dream Mall in New Jersey. Braden was the only one who said likely.
Well, I went to the GCW one this year. That was pretty fun. But the Godzilla thing was more entertaining than that.
Does Ricky Starks win a title in NXT?
There we go.
The win goes to Davey, who said likely. The Rock wins a WWE title. All of us said unlikely.
Does the Muhammad Ali title count? No.
No, it would not. We have, Women of Wrestling holding a pay-per-view or something on Fight TV. Braden, you said unlikely. The rest of us said likely, I guess. So
I don't think anyone else
maybe I was mistaken here. Maybe you were the only one that said likely.
I think so. And
I can't imagine anyone else said.
I will say they really had they're not doing good going into 2026. Even I have stopped watching Women of Wrestling. So
Maybe they'll get replaced by the NWA or Juggalo Championship Wrestling.
Hey, maybe that's on my list of likelies.
RVD's promotion to blow up this year.
Maybe they'll have an invasion.
Oh, I can't
Women
wait.
of Wrestling versus
Yeah.
Juggalos.
That sounds
Vince Russo as the spokesperson against the Women of Wrestling. An episode of AEW Shockwave airs. Braden, you were the only one who thought AEW would get more programming.
I don't even know what that is.
That was the
Nobody
rumor
does.
show they were showing.
Tony doesn't know.
We get an update on NXT Europe. Braden, you said likely. There was no update on
Well,
Europe.
yeah, we got one this year. It's coming.
Brian Danielson wrestles. Where do we stand on this?
He faced Max Caster. did
He had a
not?
Max Caster match for 12 seconds. It was
Hey,
that a match.
it
It's on
counts.
cage
It counts.
match.
It
Yeah.
counts.
It counts.
Then Brandon and Davey get the win
Yep.
on this one. Who said likely.
do.
2 AEW titles are merged. Not only is that incorrect,
Whoa.
we got the separation of the merged belt this year.
We got merged belts, didn't
It
we?
was right, and then it was wrong by the end of the year.
You were right, though.
Everyone's a winner.
No, Davey is the only one who got this one right. He said unlikely. The rest of us all figured, yes, there's way too many AEW titles. They've got to merge some of them. No, the opposite was true. A new AEW title is created, such as women's tag belts. All of us said likely to this, and they arrived.
They added 2.
Yeah.
Okada wrestles on a New Japan show, and this could not include Forbidden Door. I was the only one who said unlikely. And as far as I can check, January 4th was 2026, not 2025.
You're right.
Tiffany Stratton fails with her cash-in. I was the only one who said likely, and literally the SmackDown after we recorded this, she cashed in. So you
She
three
held the championship
all got
for,
that
like-
one right.
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair, who was scheduled to return at the Royal Rumble, gets a title shot within a month of her return. I was the only one who said unlikely. She did not get the title shot until WrestleMania.
Well, wait a second. She won the Royal Rumble, so she
Steve
got the
title
title shot at the Royal Rumble.
I gets a title shot to me says you wrestle for
But
the title.
she earned the title shot.
Cody Rhodes turns heel and grows his hair back dark. All of us said unlikely.
The soul was almost
Save that
lost.
for next year.
Yeah.
This was a good one. John Cena faces Cody at WrestleMania. All of us said likely. Way says, well, if you're saying that Cena faces Cody, then what you're really saying is The Rock is going to show up at WrestleMania.
Did I say that?
You said that, like, obviously,
Obviously.
you then have
Yeah,
to
of
have The
course.
Rock show up. Fraxium debut on the main roster. We all said likely, though if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there. Jake Paul wrestles for WWE. We all said unlikely. Jordan Gray signs with WWE. We all said likely. AEW Dynamite falls below 400,000 viewers, including holidays. Davey, you were the only one who said likely, and they did hit 388,000 viewers for one episode.
For a Dynamite.
Yes, for Dynamite. Jeff Jarrett goes to the finals of the Owen Hart tournament.
Oh my God.
I was the only one who said likely. This was not the farewell run of his last
We were
year.
really
as an active
high
wrestler.
on
Last
Jarrett.
outlaw.
Dude, Jeff Jarrett was like, he was on this show. The Dynamite to follow was Jeff Jarrett going to make his major announcement. So that's how Jarrett was like a major focused performer a year ago, and now he is just a backstage figure essentially. Does Darby Allin climb Mount Everest? And
Whoa.
I think Davey was the one who responded like, what does not succeeding mean? What are we predicting here? But I guess I was the only one who said unlikely here. But you three all thought likely.
He
would
did
make
it.
to the top.
And then he descended in the middle of the match from the mountain.
One of you, and it might have been Braden, even joked about him bringing a belt to the top of Mount Everest, which wasn't too far off from he did plant a flag on the top of Mount Everest. Few more here. Steve Austin appears in WWE this year. We all said likely, and there was not a sign of Steve
Oh,
Austin.
forgot about him driving his ATV into that woman at WrestleMania.
Oh, what?
That was a great moment.
That was this year?
That was this year, wasn't it?
Was that Vegas?
Yeah.
that was
You're
last
right.
That was
You're
night
right.
one, I think.
You're right. I'm wrong here. I totally forgot about
Wow.
that. You're right. Cena versus Orton have a match. Me and Way said likely. You two unlikely. Cena versus Punk occurs. The three of you said likely. I went unlikely. AJ Lee appears in the Royal Rumble. We all said unlikely. And a Davey submission. Leo Rush retires. Me and Way said.
We'll see what 2026 holds.
Where is he now?
He's in crew.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Way and I said unlikely to Leo Rush retiring. So the way we've done it this year, we've spread it out. Each of us have been asked to put together a handful of likely, unlikely scenarios. So we will start with Braden and go around the table. You throw out the scenario, and then we will go likely, unlikely.
Chris Jericho wrestles in WWE, NXT, and TNA. Likely or unlikely for 2026?
All three specifically.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
But
Um,
or separate. That's a cop out. But
I'm gonna say one of those won't come to fruition. I mean, definitely WWE. Will he somehow turn that into a TNA appearance? I'm even gonna say unlikely, at least during this first year.
I'm going unlikely as well.
I'm going to say likely.
I'm gonna say likely.
Can appear, has to wrestle? Can
I
he
guess appear
promo?
if you want. Yeah,
I'm
okay.
gonna say
Okay,
appear.
appearances are different. I
Yeah.
would say I'm thinking matches, but yeah, whatever. I'll stick to my answer.
I'll say likely. It'll probably be one of those things, but yeah, likely. You want some more from me? AJ Styles wrestles his last match.
Likely.
Likely.
He's not going to go back on his word. Okay.
In 2026.
He's retiring to the ice bath. He's done.
Likely.
Likely. Okay. Bryan Danielson wrestles a match in 2026.
Are we talking like?
Yeah, I'm going likely this.
Likely.
This
we
is
talking-
the Max Caster rule. If it's on cage match, it's likely.
Over 5 minutes or just any?
Yeah, likely. Just in general, he wrestles a match.
Likely.
I'll say likely as well.
Likely. Okay, I do too.
You've broken the seal, so you know
Yeah.
why not?
No to a real match. Yes to a match.
Okay, all right. Gunther retires Brock Lesnar in 2026. Likely or unlikely?
Unlikely.
Likely.
Gonna say likely.
I think they'll do the match. I don't necessarily see Gunther retiring Brock. Maybe I see Braun.
Okay. Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay will main event AEW All in Wembley.
I'm sure they'd love that.
I'll go likely.
I'm gonna go likely because oh boy, I want that.
Oh, it's a tall task for both men, like for Kenny.
Where we are
to
right
main
now,
event,
yeah.
and also
that's
for
fair.
Osprey coming off
Yeah.
of like his injury to headline that level of show, with Kenny. So I'm gonna say unlikely.
I'm going to say likely.
Okay.
Wow, okay. Three likelies.
Three likelies. Oh, I like the
Kenny beats MJF.
Yeah.
These need to be bold. Okay, you gotta.
I just think it'll fall through. I think Tony would love that, but I don't know.
Gabe Kidd signs with AEW in 2026.
Likely.
Are we counting dual contracts like a Takeshita type of thing?
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll say likely for sure.
Yeah, I say likely on that.
Likely.
Okay. Rey Mysterio beats Dominic Mysterio for the AAA title in 2026.
I don't think that's such a tough thing
Yeah.
to say likely to.
This was hard this year. Okay, guys, stop giving me.
I'm gonna say unlikely.
Why? What's that?
I don't see them putting a belt on Ray. I don't think you need to put the belt on him. I think he could do a match. I think they're like. I just feel like Ray was. I just don't know how much they're gonna put Ray in AAA.
If you're trying to sell AAA, if you're trying to make it the most marketable product that you can, I think having Ray lead it at least to start.
I think
makes a
Rey
lot of
Mysterio
sense.
winning it one time would be pretty cool. Yeah, while we have
Yeah,
it.
I'll say likely.
Likely.
I'm just gonna be different. Okay, that's the fun of this.
Well, now mine suck. Cody versus Roman Reigns 3 happens in 2026.
It kind of has to likely.
Likely.
I'm not saying WrestleMania, but likely.
Likely. as
Likely.
well. I didn't realize I asked this last year, but Jake Paul wrestles in WWE.
Unlikely.
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 Hope his job's
Come back next year.
That's kind of all I have now.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good list. Should I go next?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. A bit of a spin off of one of yours. Chris Jericho wins the TNA Championship.
Likely.
Likely.
I'm not really predicting a TNA run, so I'll say unlikely.
I'm gonna go likely. Why not? Jimmy versus Jay.
One more time.
Brother versus brother.
Man, there's still such a
The
bad stench.
Redux.
You know it has to happen, coming off of this tag team run, but can they meaningfully evolve like the characters and redo a feud in a fresh way? I don't know. I don't think so. I think there's too much. I'm going to say unlikely, personally.
Okay, I'm just asking for the match, not that it's good.
Okay.
You're coaching.
Okay. Fine. Yes. I'll likely. Maybe like King of the Ring or something.
I'll say likely as well.
I feel they want to redo. Yeah, so I'm going to say likely.
Yeah, likely.
Oh, they're going to. He's going to redo it.
Oh.
Yes. I hate that thing. I absolutely hate that thing. I didn't think I could hate it more than seeing it in the middle of War Games. I'm
Yeah,
like,
oh,
they
God,
found
I
a way
didn't
to make me
forget
hate
that.
it more. Evil teams with Shinsuke Nakamura
What in the hell? What do you know, John?
in WWE.
Oh,
Oh boy.
Can they just go surfing instead?
Unlikely.
Unlikely.
Likely.
Likely.
You wish this on yourself. Just remember, when he shows up, you did this
Against
to
the
yourself.
Gorillas of Destiny, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, I have a few here. AAA gets a U.S. television deal. Okay, they've got a deal in Mexico right now. They get on some kind of TV in the U.S. and I can include this with like streaming as well.
Does YouTube count?
No,
I'm gonna say unlikely.
And we're talking like a Spanish, like even Spanish networks count. Right?
Spanish language like distribution in the U.S.
Okay. Yeah. I'll say likely.
I'm going likely as well.
I'm going to be bold and say likely and to be.
Tubi. Okay.
Ooh,
I think they could get that tomorrow if they wanted to.
Really,
Personally,
yeah.
like Tubi, like it's got way more higher profile than Evolve, right?
shout out Tubi.
Kendall Gray's on the WWE main roster.
Ooh, I'd say like a good likelihood she would win NXT golds and like main event, like the stand and deliver that would be in 2026. So I don't know if necessarily main roster. I'm gonna say unlikely.
I'm gonna go unlikely because they are so slow with people.
Well, are we talking like this could be a repeat of the cycle next year? And so would a call up in
Let's
January?
put it this way: if she's in, we'll give it to you if she's in like the Jordan
January?
Grace role.
Okay. I'll say likely. I think she's already like so good that they'll want to push her.
I'll say unlikely, as you said. They're quite slow moving people up, and I think she'll be the centerpiece of the women's division in NXT.
Okay, the Hardys wrestle at WrestleMania. One of the two
Does
nights.
WrestleMania weekend count?
No, WrestleMania.
Unlikely.
Unlikely.
I say unlikely. I see more Hall of Fame.
Yeah, yeah.
Good one. Okay, I'll go.
Not this
unlikely.
year, but
Yoda Tsuji versus Kazuchika Okada is announced for Wrestle Kingdom 21.
Likely.
Likely.
I'm gonna go likely as well.
yeah. I think it's perfect matchmaking. Will something fall through? That's always the bigger question, right? But I'll say likely as well.
Okay, and my last one, and this will be determined by the WrestleTix number. The final number of tickets distributed for All in London is 60,000 or above.
Unlikely.
Unlikely.
Wait, what was the last one?
50
something?
something.
It was below 60,
Yeah.
and obviously 2023
Like just
was-
below
was-
60?
For Wembley,
Yeah.
was around 50, I think, and the first one was 80 something.
I'm gonna
Check Will Ospreay's tattoos to see how
So-
much people were there.
because of the sort of like year away, and also because I think the product is hotter right now, and I think it's also contingent on like Will Ospreay being available. Maybe not even that contingent.
The 2024, sorry, was 53,922. So
I'll
below.
say likely. I'll say likely.
Over 60.
I'm going likely as well.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Achievable.
I like this. I like the positivity there.
okay. Great, Davey.
Okay. Obafemi becomes a world champion on the main roster.
Unlikely.
Likely.
Obafemi becomes champion. Likely.
I'm going to say unlikely.
Mhm.
The Rascals return to WWE.
Unlikely.
What's return? Like is a cameo in NXT considered a
No,
return?
like they sign. They sign with
sign?
WWE.
Either
proper.
NXT or main roster.
It makes no sense that they would get rid of Wesley
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
bring him back.
Yeah,
As
unlikely.
I think AEW is more likely, so I'll say unlikely to yours.
Unlikely.
I'll go unlikely. Vince McMahon is on a WWE show. And that I don't mean like a video package. I mean fresh
Appears
content
live?
from Vince McMahon.
So
I'm going to go unlikely, but I very much look at the Hall of Fame in Saudi Arabia next year as he will somehow. I'd say 2027. I'd be much more high
Wow.
on this as a
So,
possibility.
John is giving
I'm saying
likely.
unlikely for 2026.
It's a
likely
year
for
ahead.
2027. I'm
Write that down.
We're gonna redo this one in a year.
Yeah.
So, I think like one of my questions was whether or not he'd show up at Stephanie's induction, like just in some sort of setting, you know?
Oh, shit.
So a shot of him in the crowd at Hall of
Yeah,
Fame.
yeah.
That would
That to
count.
me might be the most likely scenario, but even then, I would still say unlikely.
I'm going to say likely based on that. And I
Yeah.
think that's going to be like the toe in the water for the following year.
Okay, I'm gonna agree with you. Likely. I don't want to see it, but likely.
Sami Zayn wins the WWE Championship, not the world, the
So Drew McIntyre's title
Drew
right now,
belt. Yeah.
by the year's end.
Unlikely.
My heart says unlikely. I mean, my heart says likely, but my brain's saying unlikely.
Mm,
Fuck it.
I think
Likely.
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 Let's
I'm
go.
going to say
Let's
likely.
go, Sammy.
Okay, you're going to like this one. AEW will reunify the legs of the Unified Championship.
I don't even know what it is now, so likely. I don't.
I'm going to say likely, and I think they're going to make it like an all-in tradition, where it's like all-in crowns the Unified Champion.
They should advertise it as a permanent fusing of the championship.
So what if they put them together and all in and separate it by the time we're doing
It
this
can be
next year?
ununified as long as at some point
Okay,
in the year they unify it.
likely.
Likely. Fuck.
Okay.
Unlikely.
There will be more than 3 different WWE champions in 2026. So Drew counts as one. Will we have 2 other championship
likely.
reigns?
Likely.
Specifically that belt.
Specifically that belt.
Likely.
Okay.
Likely.
Well,
Likely.
more than 3. So we're assuming Okay, Drew goes on a run, loses it. to
If
somebody.
it's Drew and Sammy
then-
at the Rumble, I could easily see Sammy even winning it. Like we could have 2 by the end of this month.
I'll say likely.
Yes.
I'm going to say we'll get 3. I don't think we'll get more than that.
Okay.
There will be more than 3 different AEW champions in 2026.
Unlikely.
More than 3?
More than 3.
Unlikely.
Oh, sorry. What was it? Again?
More than 3 AEW champions in 2026.
Okay, that's a tougher one actually. But I'm gonna say likely.
I'm going to say likely. I think that's going to flip flop.
How many did we have this year?
Joe,
Moxley?
Hangman, Mox,
Yeah.
and MJF.
MJF.
Yeah.
Right,
4.
yeah. So we had 4. Yeah.
So what would you quickly see? MJF.
MJF,
Kenny,
Kenny,
Ospreay,
Will,
Kyle Fletcher.
Joe.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
thi- I don't
Kyle
think-
at the end of the
Fletcher.
year.
Kyle
Kyle
Fletcher.
I don't
Fletcher.
think Kenny's such a sure bet, like with his health and his activity.
Don't be so negative. Will.
It was
Come
just interesting, that promo, which was like, at some point this year we'll have a match,
We'll
and I
go for it.
think the
I mean, they're
story-
definitely doing MJF and Omega.
I think the
Dynasty.
story of the broken down Kenny Omega, he like listen to his reactions all the time, especially at Wembley. He's not been in a meaningful match in Wembley,
Yeah.
and I think the main event, when this is probably the only time we can do it now.
Yep.
And that series with Will is like the international traveling match. I
Absolutely.
could see being a thing. Jordan Grace will win a women's world title.
Likely.
This
Likely.
doesn't include IC or US, the world title.
Oh, the world. Okay.
Don't know if 2026 will be a year, but I'm gonna say likely.
I'm gonna
'cause I
say
like her.
unlikely. I think they'll want to build her a little more.
Yeah,
Then-
I say likely, but I don't actually think that's gonna. I think IC or US.
I
is
think
more.
IC or
Yeah.
US, so unlikely. And a major stadium wrestling weekend is announced for 2026 to counter WrestleMania.
2027.
Sorry, for 2027. So
Hmm.
whether that's like actually on Mania weekend or around the time, but sort of in a big AEW show and the sort of festival feel of your collective, etc., etc.
What if they announce this as like Revolution? It's a big stadium event. It's March. It's far away enough from WrestleMania, but it's
Yeah,
considered
exactly.
It's like a traveling show.
The
that they're trying to
make good,
promote.
essentially.
I would consider, even if it was an arena show, but there's like all the other stuff, like a WrestleMania weekend. Like All In had other stuff going around that weekend. It kind of felt like that.
Yeah.
So I kind of would consider that.
You
counts.
didn't have the level of show,
Sure,
though. So
sure.
more like a WrestleMania style, like all the promotions going there to put on something.
I'm saying likely. to
Likely.
this.
That has to happen. Hopefully, yeah.
Okay, one more. And if that does happen, is it New Orleans?
Likely.
Yeah.
And we're all going.
I'm gonna say unlikely, but they should. They 100% should.
Absolutely.
They
should.
should, but I mean, so much of that I think depends on New Orleans, like themselves, right? Wouldn't you say? And like what spaces are available. So I'll say unlikely. And just to answer yours, I'll say likely. I think there's demand for AEW to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say likely, unlikely.
All right. I got a few here, and some of these are based off of I guess people who are reported to have contract expirations in 2026. First one, Jim Ross ends his tenure with AEW.
Likely. I see him doing at least one match before ending. Sorry, like calling
Calling
match.
a match.
Yeah. He's gonna get in the ring.
Jim Ross
Yeah, he's gonna get in
retirement
the ring
match.
under the
yeah.
black hat. I feel like he'll do like one final. He's already
Call?
in the Hall of Fame, right? I don't know. Maybe I've seen him ending with AEW. Yeah.
I'm gonna say unlikely. I think that they're not going to cut him. I'll say unlikely.
I feel like even if he never calls a match again, he'll be signed with AEW
Yeah,
forever.
true.
At this
Okay.
point.
True.
You make good points. I'll say unlikely as well. Anna Jay joins WWE.
Likely.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Likely.
Unlikely. I don't think her name's big enough for them to really capitalize as her being
What about
someone.
Jay Anna?
I don't see like
Jungle Jay.
Jay
I
and-
see her maybe leaving AEW. I don't necessarily see WWE being interested.
Interesting. I think she'd be perfect for NXT. Like she's somebody who I think that there's incredible talent in. She looks amazing, and
Kendall Gray versus Anna Jay at Deadline for the title.
like that. I think they see clay that they can mold into a really top
I feel
talent.
there's just so many great women there, and every like new class that comes up, they just like I don't know if there's necessarily room.
So unlikely.
I'm going likely.
Likely.
Britt Baker joins WWE.
Ooh. Unlikely.
Unlikely.
I'll go likely with that one.
I want to say likely too. Why do you guys say unlikely?
I don't really want to see it. That's just why I think
okay.
that. Like, I just don't see that working. I don't know.
Why not?
I don't know. I felt like in the later half. Although, yeah, what people don't like in AEW seems to really get over in WWE. So it could potentially work. I just thought like her character and her talking is always what got her to center stage, but she's kind of, as a fan, just not delivered in some of the stuff, like matches.
In fairness, there was nothing to deliver this year. Like,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
didn't
Well,
see her.
no,
all
no,
year.
I don't mean, yeah, definitely not this year. I just feel like she's kind of been phased out of AEW, so maybe WWE is the next direction. I'm not sure.
I feel she's more of a name, and that's why I'd say her over an Anna Jay.
Sure, yeah.
Because I think they like she was a centerpiece of AEW for quite a while. I can hear the promos in my head of
Yeah.
being kept away from wrestling for a year and all that. Like I can see it.
Oh, I was treated so badly.
Do
Yeah.
we get a Britt Baker vignette breaking out of a prison?
Probably.
We're close to that with some of the promos these guys are cutting in TNA and stuff, but yeah.
I guess I'll say likely myself. Last one of this particular set. Bailey joins AEW.
Likely.
Bailey.
Yeah. Is her contract up this year? Is that
According to
something-
Fightful.
Okay, like I do see like she's done everything to do in WWE. She did that training camp this year. It seems like she wants to give back to the actual wrestling community, not just the WWE fan base. So I do see her leaving WWE, likely.
Likely.
Yeah, I see her being a person where she'd leave on good terms, be like, there's other things I want to explore outside, and then she will eventually go back as like a trainer or something. But I see her having a little run in AEW.
For somebody like her, I think leaving the company at this point where like she certainly reached the ceiling. I think it would really help her career to refreshen her.
Yeah.
She gets to potentially team back up with Mercedes Moné, have a great run in AEW, and really just kind of up her value. She also seems to be somebody who loves wrestling enough to like want to champion it in like a Mercedes Moné outside of the walls of the WWE. So
Yeah, she's already showed like that training camp alone shows like how much she wants to give back. So
I'll say likely as well. Yeah.
likely.
It's Pam.
Yeah, what's her name? Pam?
Pam.
It's gotta be
Just Pam?
All capitals.
Like Hook? Like
yeah,
Pam.
yeah, exactly.
Oh man. It's Pam. I don't know about that.
I mean, we've got Coke, so like,
Oh God.
All right,
Worst rebranding.
And then I have other scenarios here that aren't necessarily contract related, but I mean, kind of. Evil and Sonata reunite with Naito and Bushi outside of New Japan.
Unlikely.
likely.
It's likely.
Oh man,
You could throw a likely, unlikely. Sonata wins the NXT championship.
what's going on with Sonata is a bit strange in that, like it seems to be a leave from New Japan, but not necessarily a complete split. So whether or not that might prevent him from going to Noah to do that feels strange.
We also didn't do a best worst dressed of 2025, and I mean
Oh.
Sonata could either be on any of
wins
those
both.
sides. Yeah,
Another one to add. I guess I'll say unlikely at this point.
unlikely. Likely.
Okay, Saya Kamatani is signed by an American promotion, and she doesn't have to debut in 2025 6, but she has to, I guess, announce some sort of signing.
Yeah, I see AW maybe, but again later, so maybe likely.
Unlikely.
Unlikely, I think 2027.
Okay, yeah, I'll say unlikely as well for the next calendar year. Shane McMahon attends Stephanie's Hall of Fame induction.
Likely. But he has to get his own ticket, and they don't show him on screen.
I was gonna say, do we
You're
see
right.
on screen?
Drop the secondary market.
He
They're
did.
like, wait, is that Shane there?
He was
Yeah.
there this year. Yeah, at Cena's.
This guy had to buy his own ticket to Raw. Come on.
Yeah, I'll say likely. Like he's there.
Likely. I'll piggyback with you though. We won't see him, and we'll see Fluffy instead.
Front row. It's like, you got the front row. Where's Shane?
I'll
What
say
if they
like,
have a stand-in in the crowd where you just see the back of someone's head that is acknowledged as Shane? It's
True.
We just see the shoes, right?
I'll say likely for those reasons as well.
What would do we get a Paul Levesque speech at the Hall of Fame saying family is complicated?
It's all part of the show.
Last one for me. Cody turns heel,
With the black hair?
with or without black hair.
Likely.
Likely.
He's a redhead.
Redhead. The most.
That sounds terrible.
let's-
Shout out my gingers out there, but no.
Because the red, it represents the blood that I spilled. I'm saying unlikely. Okay, I'm still feeling like there's untapped in a Punk turn. I think he has run the limit of the babyface run. and I think he is the heel I would want to turn and have Cody as his foil. So I'm going unlikely on the Cody turn.
Interesting. I think Cody heel would be refreshing, but I'm gonna say likely.
I'll say likely too. Let's go to a couple here from the chat here. Jake says Nick Khan leaves WWE. Is this? I guess like he might be a. I don't know what his contract really means, but is this at all
Unlikely.
Unlikely. Not with TKO Box.
No,
right
yeah.
now.
WWE announces a PLE in Mexico.
Unlikely.
Unlikely. I don't think they can just make the amount that they could take elsewhere for, like, they're going to Italy, they're going to like all these other places that I think would just trump a show in Mexico.
Still waiting on that NXT Europe deal to finalize. But what about a WWE show on the lawn of the White House in 2026? With that?
Unlikely.
Unlikely.
No,
Oh, okay.
no,
Just checking.
unlikely.
Just checking.
But to Mexico, do you have an answer?
For WWE?
Yeah.
Likely. Like they do the AAA stuff, but that doesn't count because it's like not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say unlikely. Maybe I don't know.
Okay, I'll say likely. Just to.
I would like it. I want an AEW one. That Grand Slam was a great. Like, oh, I want to go there. That looks awesome.
Okay, last one from Jake here. TNA books the Scotiabank Arena for a major
Absolutely unlikely.
Unlikely.
unlikely. No, not nearly there. Okay.
What about just like thinking you were talking about Obafemi winning world titles. What about Javon Evans becomes one of the youngest champions in WWE history?
So any title?
Any
Win the
title.
tag belts?
Yeah. He's 21, 22.
Well, likely. If it's any belt.
US title.
Unlikely.
Likely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll win something this year, but yeah.
All right.
That's it. I think that's it then. Yeah, I didn't have any others. This was a more harder one this year for me.
Yeah, we have clocked in at well over 3 hours.
Wow.
I have to go leave in 15 minutes. So
Needed a pee for about 2 hours.
Dave is struggling here. But thank you to all of the input online and those of you that joined us live here on the Post Wrestling Cafe for the annual Best and Worst of 2025, going through all the categories, and then we will revisit these a year from now. Should we schedule this for the same time and place?
Yeah.
With maybe a Davie Portman meal in between.
Ooh, yeah. Some
Sounds good.
Or we could
lunch.
Maybe a few NAs.
Davey to cook for all of
It's
us.
it's always a blast to do this and obviously come and do this with you guys in person. We haven't necessarily seen you guys in a little while, so it's always nice to do that.
Yeah,
And
we likely gonna go to a show together.
likely I'm gonna get you guys out.
That's on you guys.
Let's say likely.
Hear about you talking about kids, dry 2026.
I mean, my phone isn't blowing up with invites.
All right, the next show we'll hit you up. I love going to wrestling and bringing you
Northern
guys
Crown in March, I think, right?
Yeah, Demand Lucha always doing the shows.
Where can people hear, as a follow up to this, your best match ever series?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, if you use Instagram, whatever podcast app you use, search Poisonrana Pod, give us a follow, and check out all the other stuff. We have a Patreon as well. We just recorded a huge 2-parter best match ever where we rate, review, dissect the best and even some worst wrestling from 2025. We put out part 1 for free on the Poisonrana free feed. So go check us out.
And YouTube.
And YouTube. Yeah, we're on YouTube, Poisonrana Pod. We do so many shows. We do a weekly show every week on Sunday covering all the other wrestling. So we're not just the NXT friends, even though we will always be your NXT friends. But search Poisonrana Pod. We do so much other stuff, retro wrestling reviews, movie reviews, and so much on the Patreon. And if you are in the Toronto area, we do tons of parties. We had a huge successful year, not only the Elimination Chamber pre-party, but John came out, we did the All Out Hangout. So thanks to anyone who was there, even in spirit. And I know 2026, we got some plans as well. Dynasty in Vancouver, shout out the West Coast fans, postmarks out there, and maybe even Wembley. So, I mean, the fun part about this is Post Wrestling has, like, I followed suit of John Away and the community that you guys have built from like years and years and years. And people always say to me and Davey, like, oh, the community you built like is incredible. And I was inspired by you two.
You guys do it at a way bigger level.
We like to hang out. We like to have fun. And we can't do it without the people who listen from like, Canada, US, UK, like from all over. And wrestling this year, you know, I like to watch the news and it can be sad and depressing. And wrestling's my escape. And I fucking love it. And I love all the people out there who support.
Yeah, go to poisonrana.ca, takes you to our link tree, and that's got all the information if you want to sign up to our Patreon, if you want to check out our YouTube, our free feed, but also tickets for our Rumble watch party. If you are in the Toronto area and want to watch the Rumble with us, it's right at the top of our poisonrana.ca.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you guys so much for inviting us as always, and hopefully
Is
we
WH going to come out for the Rumble?
Probably.
He is. He
Yeah.
is. Yeah. He gets rowdy at these
Yeah.
events, though. You should see him with those shots at the what was it, the All Out weekend.
Yeah.
He was getting.
He gets out of control.
We had to kick him out, I think, at one point. But yeah, shout out all the postmarks and the poison pals out there. Peace and love.
All right. Well, we wish you guys all the best for I guess it'll be a Saudi Gras.
Oh.
We're gonna write that down.
All right, take that's my last skip for you. And that completes the best and the worst of 2025. Happy New Year.